2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it each and every week with my homeboys, but this week there are more boys in the house. It's like a car ride to the game. That's the way I like to think of this podcast. We're riding in the car to the game, talking shit on the way there, and either we celebrating on the way back or we crying on the way back. We getting probably a little sleepy on the way back and at the end of the show. So before you guys get sleepy and tune out, smash the thumbs up button, tune in, call in at 252-228-5098, subscribe to the show, and tonight it's going to be a big one. We got Pat Coltrane in the house. We got Shellatron in the house. We've got SI writers in the house. It's all over the place. It's all over the map, but you know who is always here, my man Cody Lashney. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Tony Dunn, the tank is on, baby, and I'm pumped. Listen, man, there's not a whole lot much to look forward to with the Carolina Panthers going forward right now. We're at that part of the season already, but, man, I'll be damned if there isn't so much to talk about. And you know we're going to do it with the best Panther fans on YouTube. Nick Montiero, Trill One, 704 Bound Charlotte, Blake Bettis, Underground West, my boy, C. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Call into the show, 252-228-5098. We're going to be talking about the COVID stuff tonight and how the Panthers are going to try to scrap together a team. But really, we're going to be in what we call the bye-week battle royale. Actually, we're not really battling because we're missing all the people that love Teddy Bridgewater on this one. So I guess we'll find something else to argue about. CK, are you back yet?
I am.
Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast. My man, CK, how you doing?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. And, just hanging out, enjoying the bye week. I got to put some Christmas lights up on Sunday, so that was good. Didn't watch any football. Just looked at the scores and had some surprises out there. But good to talk about the Panthers this week.
A lot of good dad games this past week. So if you did need to put up your Christmas trees and your Christmas lights, this was the week to do it. I don't know. Maybe this next week will be the week to do it, depending on how many of these players play. But let me go ahead and turn the mic over to some of the newer faces on this show. I think that I'm going to start with the elder statesman. I'm the eldest statesman. But I've been doing this podcasted thing on the YouTubes for a minute. And I'm pretty sure that Pat Coltrane has been doing it just as long. Pat Coltrane's your boy, Baby Bubba. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What up, everybody on C3 Podcast. It's your boy, Pat Coltrane. What's up with you, Baby Bubba? I said, Baby Bubba. What's up with you? Thank you for having me, Tony.
Man, thank you to the show. I listen to you. I watch your show all the time, and you got me rolling. I will say, I think you're the funniest out of Panther Nation.
What?
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Shelatron think he funny, but he not funny as
when you told my
And
man,
Tony, you're the most funniest looking.
yeah, oh, sorry.
I ain't say that. I wouldn't say
Pat
that.
already said I look old.
Well,
Yeah,
that
Pat
wasn't me
in
trying
for
to
a
be
show
funny.
started.
That wasn't me trying to be funny. I was just stating
He was
facts.
being serious. Yeah. Well, next time if you get a present from me, unlike Rashad, it will be a booby trap. Now it will be a booby trap.
Boy, I tell you what. So much hate. This way the battle royale start. So much hate, man. Gosh, leave.
All right, let's go to Shelatron. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
What's up with you, man? Shelatron here. I've been gone for a minute, man. I haven't done a video or a stream in a minute. I've been moving. I had to move out the old spot. Had to do a lot of cleaning up. Look, y'all know me. Y'all know things get pushed back to the very last minute. I had a lot of transition things to go on, but this week, getting right back to it. This is a good place to start back with it on the C3 podcast with 4 other Panthers content creators that I really do respect. 4 other Panthers.
Who's not on the list?
He's eliminated Cody.
Oh,
There's 4 of them. There's 4 of them here.
Oh, man, I
all
tell
right.
you what.
Well, we'll have to rank that list in a little while and see if we can get somebody back on it. We've also got Jason Hewitt, SI Panthers writer. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers podcast.
What's up, y'all? Jason Hewitt, SI Panthers, SI.com, formerly cat scratch reader at SB Nation. Been a Panthers fan since I was 5 years old, 22 now. So here we are, man.
He's the baby boy of the show, I bet.
Hey,
I'm the baby,
man,
I think.
I am old. Hey.
Yeah, man. Pat, we've been doing this YouTube thing for a minute, man. When'd you get started, Pat?
I honestly can't remember, man. Maybe it was a year after we picked up Cam. I'm thinking maybe like 2012, 2013, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
I
when we
think.
all start. We started this show in 2013. Haven't missed a week since. Yeah, man. All right, so let me ask. I'll just continue with Pat. Why do you do the Panther YouTube stuff? This is a question I ask myself sometimes. Why do you do it?
Now I'll do it because of peer pressure, because people just want me to do videos. But I started doing it because I was a huge Panther fan. I was a fan of, I don't know if you remember the TTC. I think it's still going around the trash talking circle. So I was a huge fan of that. So that's what really made me cam up and start doing videos. I didn't want to get into all the trash talking because I'm sensitive and I'll be ready to fight. But just because I was a huge fan and I love doing YouTube videos, and y'all know I'm somewhat of a comedian. So I just started to showcase my talent. And now it's like I want to stop doing it, but people are like, "Nah, man, don't ever stop." So
yeah, you just gotta keep going.
Just keep on going, man.
Well, hey, we peer pressured you into doing an extra show this week by coming on. Shelatron, how'd you get into YouTube and that Panthers dovetail?
Really what it was I noticed that it was only people doing live streams. Like I feel like all y'all were doing either podcasts, live streaming stuff. I didn't see anyone doing like actual just straight up videos like every week, and like not just game reviews, but also like news stuff and whatnot, like all the time, and opinions and that kind of thing. I thought to myself, look, man, if there's anyone out there who knows anything about the Panthers, it's me. So I said, let me go ahead and go on the internet real quick. I was making videos on YouTube before I made Panthers content, and like Pat said, I thought I was the funniest person on earth. Turns out I'm the second funniest to Pat Coltrane himself.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good to be here with Pat Coltrane and 4 other Panthers content creators I really do respect.
All right.
Oh man.
Let's start off with this, guys. Is that COVID is wrecking your town everywhere. Wherever you're at listening to this, according to the news, according to everybody, don't ask Roy Cooper because he probably shut this party down for us being too close on the internet. At
least between 10 and 8.
Yeah, exactly. COVID though I feel like the Panthers have been very fortunate this season in avoiding the COVID bug for the most part. There's been 1 or 2 I think we lost Rasul Douglas and your YGM, right? We lost those two for a little while in the season, I think, earlier on. But for the most part, we have not been ravaged by COVID until this week. News popped off, I guess today. 8 players placed on the COVID reserve COVID-19 list. That includes DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Derek Brown, Zach Kerr, Shaq Thompson, Greg Little. He won't go play no way. Mike Pilardi he's already been on that mug. He got COVID and he won't even on the team. And Ishmael Hyman, who I don't know. Other than that, Jason, tell us what the heck is going on in that locker room and with this team going forward as they prepare for Revenge Rivera match.
All right. So, like you said, we got those 8 players and those 2 additional players on that list. Now, the thing is, they're keeping things under wraps right now, but they're on the list. So we really don't know who's going to play and who won't play. But being on the list means one of 2 things. You either received a positive test or you're exposed to the virus. So there could be players who very much have it, but they're just not saying anything right now. They're going to wait it out a little bit, let it simmer down. But shoot, we really don't know how depleted this team is going to be until probably late this week, maybe even Sunday.
I forgot to ask all y'all before you came on the show if you had been in contact with anybody who had COVID or display any symptoms. I feel like I'm asked that question everywhere I turn today. I hope none of you have.
That's HIPAA, COVID. Man. Don't be asking no medical questions, man. You know I'm trying to hide from folks. You up here asking me about my health?
It's too late now.
Hey.
At this point, you already got it.
Oh, shoot.
Holy cow. We have a surprise guest. He said it was past his bedtime. Rashad is here from Panther Nation Podcast.
Rashad, hey, what's up? What's up with the people, man? Hey, listen, real talk. I actually had to go ask my wife for permission to do this, so I'm being 100% real. And I thought Dave was gonna join, and I didn't want to leave y'all hanging. So I jump on here. I'm gonna give y'all like an hour. Pause.
Good. We needed somebody to root for Teddy on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow. This is fun.
Rashad, real quick, tell us about your channel before we get back into this COVID stuff. Oh, before you come in the room, have you displayed any COVID-like symptoms? Or do you run a fever right now because we had to kick you out?
No, I'm good. I'm straight.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
That's what's up.
We're contact tracing here.
That's a fact.
The thing that tell me about your channel real quick. And what I was asking the other guys is, what made you get into doing Panther podcasting or Panther video YouTubing, whatever the word is for it?
So Panther Nation Podcast, YouTube, and just quite a slight echo on my part, but my bad. So I just got started. And listen, me and Dave used to talk junk all the time with the Panthers, going back and forth. It was good banter. So we said we might as well just go ahead and record it. And that's pretty much what it is. It's real simple. We've been going since, I believe, it's about 4 years now. So shout out to all the old heads, Pat, C3, you guys are the OGs. So shout out to you guys and appreciate the guidance. Right. So shout out to y'all, man.
It seems like everyone agrees on one thing. Tony Dunn and Pat Coltrane are old as hell. That's what I keep hearing from everybody, man.
Now ask Rashad his age. Do that. So you can't ask me on. Yeah, you didn't ask me on live. Never mind.
I'm 36.
Okay.
Okay.
You a good looking 36, bro. You look younger than that. Dang.
Age is like wine, bro. I'm good.
Yes, sir.
Not me. I'm getting older quick, man. Don't worry. How many kids you got?
2.
Pat?
Yep.
You got any kids?
3.
I got 3 too.
3.
Yeah, you look good for 3.
Yeah, man.
I just look tired
because I don't take care of them.
I don't take care.
I'm lying. No, I ain't gonna say that.
All right,
I'm lying. I love my babies. I'm lying.
Let me turn. I'll ask Rashad, and then I'll let you guys chime in on this. What were your expectations going into this season, Rashad?
Exactly what I'm seeing. This is in line with what I'm seeing. I came in saying 5-11. So this is about in line. No lofty expectations, no playoffs. I'm not upset like a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're one game away from the play." Like Come on. Well, we were never going to be that. I'm cool. And this is exactly where we are is exactly where I thought we would be.
Pat.
All right. So initially, going into the season, I didn't really care. It didn't, because none of it made any sense. I say this all the time. None of it made any sense. I couldn't tell if we were tanking. But initially, the moves they made, it made me feel like they were trying to win some games. All right. So going into the season, my hopes were a little high, but it's like I thought I didn't care. And I realized I cared more than I should have.
Then you want to.
Yeah, right. Then I wanted to, man. And I think that's where I'm at now. I'm still trying to get out of that. But initially, I cared more than I thought I was going to care.
What moves are you referring to that gave you that kind of excitement or caringness?
When we picked up Teddy.
Okay.
I feel like the Tahir Whitehead signing was an attempt to replace Luke. What other?
Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson. Like that. Those are moves that made me feel like, oh, y'all trying to win some games. It's not really a rebuild. Like this feels like y'all are really trying to win these games, and they failed miserably. But we're gonna get into that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. But yeah, that's initially. Initially, I didn't want to care, but the moves that we made, it made me start to care. It made me feel like we were actually going to do something.
I forgot to turn the voicemail back on, folks, so people are trying to call in. Hold on. All right, Shelatron, tell us what was your expectations for the Panthers going in this season?
What we're seeing, kind of, I thought we weren't gonna be winning that many games, but I always thought Actually, no. I guess kind of the opposite. I thought the defense would look really bad and the O would look like elite. What we're seeing is that the offense looks okay, looks pretty good until the end of games and really the third quarter. And the defense has looked good in some spots, looked elite in some spots, and has looked a little weird in others, like not horrible, but like real confusing as to why things are happening, what guys are doing, where they are, and like, look, Tahir Whitehead is low-hanging fruit. I could speak on Tahir Whitehead every single day, every single minute, every single snap. But at some point, all the problems of the defense aren't Tahir Whitehead. All the problems of the offense aren't Teddy Bridgewater. There are other issues going on here. I feel like what Pat said makes sense too. The front office kind of finessed us into believing that the team was looking and trying to get better and trying to win games. I actually bought into it. I said, hold up. We might actually be trying to be competitive this year. But then the truth of what we all knew was going to happen became apparent kind of quickly. Like, we're a team that can maybe stick in with some teams in some of these games, but we don't have any real like finishers or dogs or clutch players that can really put you over the hump. And we're seeing the same thing we've seen the last 3 years, a bunch of one-score losses. Simple as that.
We have seen a lot of close games over the past years. I don't know. All right, Jason, do you want to chime in on your expectations going into the season before we move on?
Absolutely. So similar to y'all, I predicted 5-11, 6-10, somewhere around that range. And the thing was, they also tricked me as well because, when they were 3-2 going into week 6 up against Chicago, I was like, okay, well, look at this team. They looking all nice. And I remember that Chicago game and how close it was and thinking, oh, this might be Teddy Bridgewater's moment to shut the haters up or whatever. And he did the exact opposite and threw the game away. And I noticed this trend repeatedly throughout this losing streak up until they went up against Detroit when PJ Walker started, which started a whole dynamic between him and Teddy. And I feel like it's still kind of a conversation moving forward. But at the same time, it's like this team is exactly what we expected it to be. But at the same time, they kind of finessed us, like the rest of y'all said.
I thought we were going to be a 4-12 team at best. I could have seen us being 2-14. It was a complete overhaul on defense, new coaches. You didn't know what to expect. I think we're a lot better than I expected us to be. I just didn't see the offense being as, I guess, when you think about it, it should be Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore. It should be dynamic, but we've seen the offensive line over the past few years, or actually forever, for the Carolina Panthers. It feels like we haven't had a good offensive line since, maybe 2013, maybe. It's been a while. I don't even think the 2015 offensive line was that good, to be honest. I mean, they looked terrible in the Super Bowl. But
the interior of our offensive line was incredible.
Right.
With Andrew
Ryan
Norwell,
Khalil.
Ryan Khalil in the prime of his career, Trey Turner before he kind of started to drop off a little bit. Like, that was one of the worst mistakes we made, in my opinion, was not keeping those three around.
Rashad?
No, I was just gonna say I got a whole episode chronicling the offensive line and the troubles how we've continuously neglected the offensive line for years. And again, we just got to make that change. I'm a proponent of fixing the offensive line. You can say what you want, but we need to fix the offensive line. I feel y'all with the quarterback.
I don't want to hear that.
I feel y'all with the quarterback, but we have got, going back to Cam, we have got to fix the offensive line, and it's been neglected for far too long. And I think Cody, last time we were speaking with Pat, I feel like it starts at the top. It starts at the top, and until we fix that, it doesn't really matter what happens underneath.
Hurney has to go, man. No matter what you think about Bridgewater, I think more and more fans are starting to come around on this. Like, the more and more you dive deep onto the record of Marty Hurney, that's not a guy that you're interested in building the future of your football team.
Nobody's ever loved Marty Hurney, though.
That's true from what I've seen, in Panthers Nation. I've seen a lot of complaints about him over the years.
And it just confuses me. Like, we changed coaches, players, front office. Man, we gutted the end zone. Dude, we opened up the end zone to put luxury box seats, man. Like, in an era of Panther renewal, when we're trying to do something brand new, it makes no sense to me to hang on to this holdover from yesteryear, man. It baffles the hell out of me, and I cannot explain it. But I digress.
I tell you, Marty Hurney should give lessons in survival, right? Like survival training lessons. How he survived for 2 decades, like you said, 2 owners being fired, being brought back, a new coach. That's impressive. That's probably his most impressive accomplishment as a GM in many ways.
Jason, you need to get down to that. Ain't you a journalist? You need to do some investigative journalism and find out why Marty Hurney is still around here, man. Do that.
So I think here's the thing. I'll play devil's advocate here. And I have been for a while. I agree, and I've said it for a while. If they were going to fire Hurney, it needed to happen when they fired Rivera. Like right now, we're already in the process of a rebuild. Getting a new GM could set you back an extra 5 years or 6 years, right? And so now you're putting yourself in a position to now restart the rebuild that we just started, right? And that's the issue I have. When you look at Marty Hurney's record, the problem is, and you say he should give lessons on survival. His survival right now is that both of our Super Bowl teams are built on the backbone of Marty Hurney. And you could sit there and talk about 2015, Marty Hurney wasn't our GM. Look at every player on that team that was impactful to our season. Every player was drafted by Marty Hurney. Marty Hurney has given us every superstar that our organization has ever seen. I will agree. Like I said, I would have liked to see him go when Rivera left. But right now, we're already in the midst of a pretty good rebuild. It's looking pretty good, going in a positive direction. And like I said, there could be some setbacks, certainly, but I don't think that now is the time to get rid of him. I think he's shown way too much positives over his years to let him go, because I think you're risking a lot if you let him out the door.
Can I push back? Can I push back equally on that? Because I feel like while he has drafted a lot of guys, it's more than just drafting, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
it's more than just being able to draft guys. You got to be able to maneuver when it's time to maneuver. Letting these guys walk for nothing, Taylor Moton, whoever, to go back in history. Letting these guys just walk for nothing is a problem. Okay,
James Bradbury,
go back and name them all.
Butler is balling out.
All of them. You're letting them walk for nothing.
my
and I think
gosh,
that's part of
don't
the
say
problem
those
too.
names.
So it's more than just a draft, right? It's more than just
It
picking
is.
the right players. You've got to be able to do more. And that's my beef with
And
him.
his contract negotiations, I mean, you could bring up a lot of the negatives. But you also, in that same category, you could look at, for instance, Dallas. You know, you have an owner that is so hands-on. You know, Jerry Richardson was very, you know, we could all sit here and talk about certain things, but you could see the trajectory that Tepper has created for this organization. And I think he's going to allow Marty Herney to be more Marty Herney, and they have a better vision than what Jerry Richardson had. Jerry Richardson was a very conservative human being that was not willing to go and do anything special. They did not make splashes in the free agent market. This year, we made probably the biggest splashes in the free agent market we've ever done. You know, and this is the first year without Ron Rivera. I just think that it's worth, at this point in time, we're already even, it's only 1 year certainly, but we are too deep into this rebuild or retooling for us to go ahead and start just throwing our chips on the table and hope that a new
I'm gonna
GM will
disagree
bring it.
because I feel like we're just starting. This is the best time to get it done.
We're 12 games into the rebuild. Yeah, this is we're not too deep. I think
we
we just had a full defensive draft too. I think this year's rebuild, you didn't ask the question yet. I'm sure the next question is probably going to be like what we want to do next with the team. Is that about right?
Yeah, we're getting close to that.
Well,
I'll go ahead. We're freestyling, bro. We're freestyling. Take it where you want to go.
Oh, well, say less then. I mean, I feel like what we did this year with the defense was about right. I mean, we have more than a couple guys that we found in the draft that are going to be impactful players, at least on some level in the future. We have a couple guys who could be great, borderline great, very soon. And then this upcoming year, you work on what you need, and you see for the past, like you mentioned, the past forever, you need an O-line. If your O-line can't move, can't at least stop someone from getting your quarterback or push the D-line back to get some good blocking for your running back, you're not going to do anything. Your offense is always going to stall out when you need it most. You might get a play here or there. You might get some things working, but you're never going to have that actual dominant front that you need to actually become a better team, an actual deep playoff run team, like all these other teams you see who are actually winning games. It starts up front. So you start with the O-line. You figure out what you're going to do with the defensive backs. They're not bad, but I mean, there's no one playing DB that I'm actually, none of those names strike fear in me at all. And as much as I love Jeremy Chin is great. He is not guarding. He's not stopping any single, even above average tight end. You feel me? I think we need to find an actual real strong safety who can stop tight ends like that. But I mean, I think DBs and our O-line have to be the real focus in this draft. I said that. I mean, quarterback. I thought that was a way afterthought. I was cool with going with Kyle Allen this year. I said if you want 3-4 wins, if you want 3, 4, or 5 wins, I mean, damn, keep Kyle Allen, save that money, and you can make other moves in free agency.
Okay, so look. Let me pose a question to everyone that's convinced that we should not go quarterback in the first round, and it's kind of a two-part. It's kind of a two-part question. Number one, how many times in the next few years do we intend for the Panthers to be picking with the top 10 pick in the draft? Because from where I'm at right now,
it's going to be a few times.
Okay, but I don't know. But
if we got Herney.
Yeah, true. Okay. But there's also a saying, bro, we can walk and chew bubble gum. Like, why is it impossible to think that maybe we draft a quarterback in the first round and then draft other competent offensive linemen later in the draft? Like, all the things that we want to do, it's not like we can't do all of those things if we pick the quarterback first. I mean, if it's a guy that can put our offense over the top and would have an opportunity to hold our franchise down for over a decade or more at the quarterback position, I just have a hard time understanding why that wouldn't be something that interests people. Like a top 10 pick, that's where you pick quarterbacks.
We don't have the offensive line for that. In my opinion, we would have to really rebuild our offensive line with veteran players, not just some rookies, especially some second or third round picks. I don't think it'll work out. I think he'll get ate up. He'll get ate up Look at Joe Burrow. Look, they will get 8
I think our offensive line has been like probably better than we're accustomed to this
than
year.
it has been in years, honestly.
Yeah, this is the best O-line we've had in a long time. And it's not
they're talking about but you
gotta watch, man. This is the best O-line.
We won't have the
I've
same
seen,
offensive line. Tell them, Rashad. Tell them about the breakdown that you did.
It's not. I hate when people say it. Our offensive line has been better. I'll give you. The last 2 games, they have been great. And I will give you, they're much better with Russell Okung.
You just said they were great. I didn't use that word.
No. I said the last 2 games. The last 2 games, they've been great. The last 2 games. And I will say they're much better with Russell Okung in the game. Much, much better. Way improved. But to say that this is the best offensive line we've seen in years, it's not true. It's
when
just
was
not.
The last time?
Name an O-line that was better.
Name
an O-line that was better.
The O-line that was better, statistically and according to PFF, was the 2015 offensive line. It was better.
That's 5 years ago.
I'm just saying it's
years ago, right?
And we went to the Super Bowl that
2015.
It's just a fact. No, it's just a fact.
I mean,
it's just a fact, though. That's all I'm saying. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And people say, "Oh, Cam didn't have the off." It's just a fact that he had a better offensive line than what we're seeing right now.
But that 1 year, that 1 year,
we're in year one. How can we get more than
Super Bowl that year? We also went to the Super Bowl.
But look at the contracts on our offensive line right now. I mean, that's the problem.
They all expire.
Yeah, I mean, we're having to then make a decision. Okung's starting to age, right? There's reports that Moton's not coming back. Because he's looking for left tackle money. I mean, and then you have, 2 more years with Paradis. I mean, we don't really have an offensive line that is the long term right now. So I do agree. I think offensive line is important in the draft, but I also think a top 10 pick, if we're in the top 10, Cynthia Freeland has us estimated at the 11th pick, which I don't understand how that's going to happen. Looking at the schedule, but if we're in the top 10 and we don't go quarterback, I think again we're setting ourselves back by another 2-3 years, and I think that's the issue. I think we can all I don't know everybody's opinion, but I think we can all agree Teddy Bridgewater isn't the long-term answer here.
I'll give you a counterpoint. If Lawrence and Fields are gone, which they will be, is there a single quarterback that you would trust with this franchise? Be honest.
I mean, it's tough, man, because it's hard to know with a lot of these one-year players. I mean, it really is tough because some of these guys step in and, it depends on the coaching. If we have the coaching that can learn up our players and teach them how to build upon their existing skill set, then yeah. And I do think Matt Rule is a culture builder. And I'm hoping that Matt Rule is going to be our own version of like a Pete Carroll or a Mike Tomlin, right? He's not the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, but the man knows how to coach. And I'm hoping that over time, if we have that kind of system, that, yeah, we could draft a quarterback, let him sit behind Bridgewater for a year, let him learn a little bit. We already know we have Bridgewater for another year. So in my opinion, like grabbing a player that has all the talent, like a Trey Lance, like a Zach Wilson, let them have some time to adjust to the NFL. And yeah, I think that's an investment that's 100% worth making.
I think that when it comes to quarterbacks, we got David in the house now from Panther Nation Podcast. So, David, what's up, my man? Welcome to the show.
Unmute, Dave.
You're muted. You're muted, my guy.
This is the world we live in, and COVID is like. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable during phone calls, man. I can just cuss people out. They wouldn't realize it's fun.
Welcome to the show.
Appreciate the invite. Sorry,
man. We'll turn the first question over to you. Is there a quarterback in this draft outside of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields that you would trust to take over this franchise?
I mean, I like Trey Lance, man, but I don't want to give up a first round capital to pull this trigger at this point.
Okay,
please preach.
I don't, man. Like I think doing that would give us a would give that player a disservice because he's gonna get killed.
Body bag.
It's my biggest thing about this
Body
fan
bag.
base and this whole thing about this whole notion about letting a guy sit behind Teddy Bridgewater for a year.
You have to.
This is the same.
Everyone is at Mahomes. Everyone
Look,
is at Mahomes.
Exactly.
They don't have, but the thing is, you remember there was a time where like every quarterback sat behind the guy for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And it kind
90s.
of worked out for people like Rivers. He did pretty well, and
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. He panned out. I mean, I think he did all right.
But quarterbacks are
Steve
coming
Young
into the
sat for
NFL.
years.
Quarterbacks are coming into the NFL more ready than they ever have been. Like Kyler Murray starts right away. Joe Burrow starts right away.
Or
Josh
Doggy
Allen
Brandon.
starts right away. Justin
Bradford
Herbert
did
starts
too.
right away.
Sam Bradford did too.
I just know there's a lot.
The thing is,
Look, man, look, we can all nitpick all the examples of this quarterback busted and he was overdrafted, and or I can do the same thing and tell you all the good quarterbacks that are drafted in the top 10, and those teams are not regretting those picks. Yeah, Joe Burrow may have gotten hurt, but they're not regretting drafting Joe Burrow. So I'm telling
next
you,
year. They might.
We don't know what he's going to look like next year.
We don't know yet.
we don't know that for anyone, though. We don't know that for anyone. For Herbert, Allen, Murray, Jackson, you name it. I mean, no one has a crystal ball.
But the thing is, I think Josh Allen. Josh Allen's going to be attached to McDermott at this point, right? Like Josh Allen is going to be attached to McDermott. It's kind of like how Ron Rivera was attached to Cam when Cam got here, right? They were going to be a family at this point. So I think McDermott is going to roll with Josh by hook or by crook, and he's already had success there already. They've already been to the playoffs. He's already doing some pretty good damage there.
And he wasn't even good his first 2 years either. It took him.
He's not really. Truth be told, if you want to be quite frank, as a quarterback, he ain't really good now. But he's pretty.
I'll take him over. What were you looking at?
I'll take him over five.
Let me say that right now.
Come on now.
So as a quarterback,
yes.
I mean, here's
Yeah, if you look at his numbers.
by hook or by crook.
I think here's the question we gotta ask ourselves though. And I did a whole show on this yesterday, right? So you have a coach, an offensive coordinator who went out and handpicked Teddy Bridgewater, right or wrong? Right? We all agree there, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
That's the news on the street.
If they can't get it done with the guy that they handpicked, do you really trust them going out and picking a quarterback in the draft?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Wait, doesn't everyone get handpicked? Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does handpick mean?
Okay, I'll elaborate for y'all, man. So basically, when Brady went out and got Bridgewater, the reason why he went out and got him was because they needed a surefire guy who knew Joe Brady's system. He might not have been the guy, but he was a guy who knew just enough to come into a system, especially with COVID and everything, and the young, inexperienced team. Got a guy who has like 5-6 years of experience come in and, be ultimately a game manager. But as we've seen, personally, my definition of a game manager is who doesn't turn the ball over, especially in critical situations. So I feel like they've bit more than they could chew. That's just me. But
And it's okay to
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
that's what they had available at the time,
And listen, isn't it okay to admit that Joe Brady, yes, he might have wanted Bridgewater here, but he ended up being wrong. Like our offense is limited. I don't understand.
But don't worry. When Joe Brady goes and get a job somewhere else, he can be wrong, and we're gonna have Teddy here chilling with us.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
a problem.
ultimately what I think is going to happen.
And that's a problem. And me and Tony have been talking about this too. Like, I don't think Joe Brady should go anywhere.
It's
I mean, like,
premature.
that dude
coach talk is premature. I'm sorry. I
don't want him to go.
He has not even shown enough, and we'll kind of pivot the conversation a little bit to Joe Brady and how the connection to Bridgewater. I think that one of the points that I like Rashad's point, and I've heard you make it several times about Joe Brady and Bridgewater being together, right? Is like that's on Joe Brady. In fact, I would say that Teddy Bridgewater is the worst thing Joe Brady has done as an offensive coordinator so far. Ultimately, I think the idea that Joe Brady is a reasonable head coach candidate at this point in time, I think that is far premature. And if any team kind of goes with that, I feel like they are just going like with fashion. Is like, we just want the young, offensive-minded, 30-year-old white coach. And I don't even like that. I mean, what is like Sean McVay started it?
You speaking facts?
It's facts, but I mean, he's gonna get hired.
Not for like 2 or 3 years.
The fact of the matter is, you don't have to show anything. How many bad coaching hires have we seen over the years? You don't have to show anything. Whether he deserves it or not is not up to us, right? The fact of the matter is he's going to get hired somewhere. And then the problem with that is that you go out, you draft a guy, right? You're gonna move on from this OC. You have a quarterback that learned the system under Joe Brady's system. Then you're gonna hit the reset button when you bring another offensive coordinator, and the cycle just continues and continues. And not only that, and my concern is not even with offensive coordinator. My concern is with the GM situation. We got to get that fixed first. OC is secondary to me, but I can't. We have to. The overall arching issue is we have to have stability. If we're gonna bring in a quarterback, we have to be stable, bro. Like, we can't just bring quarterbacks in for shit just because we want a quarterback. If you don't think Teddy Bridgewater is a guy, great. Your point is being shown every week, right? We get it, but you cannot you can't bring in a quarterback into an unstable franchise. Right now, we are unstable. We're unstable. We don't have a GM. Offensive coordinator got one foot out the door. Like, we have to be stable, and that's all I'm asking for when we draft the quarterback.
When do you think Joe Brady will no longer be with the Carolina Panthers? When?
Yeah, I give him
3 years.
I say 2 years.
I give him.
I say 2.
2 years.
I give him one more year, and he's out of here.
One winning season, he gone.
Chudzinski. Remind you guys of Chudzinski.
But here's my question: you say one winning season. Are we going to have a winning season next year?
I didn't even say a winning season. I didn't even say a winning season.
2 years.
I didn't even. Let's be.
And when I say winning, I don't even mean playoffs.
No. Let's be clear. Chudzinski got a job. We didn't have a winning season. He was off to Cleveland.
Yep.
All it takes is one of these idiot ass GMs and owners to say we want this guy because he's high powered.
You're right.
Chudzinski showed up in here, balled out of his ass. We thought Cam was going to be a rock star. And then we had Mike Shula. He went and got his little job, and we brought in Mike Shula. We're about to get out Mike Shula as soon as Brady leaves. Do you think he's going to bring another Joe Brady in here once Rule gets another chance to pick an OC? And like I said yesterday, I don't even think him as the OC was Rule's call. I think that was more of a Tepper play than a Rule play.
I think my opinion. A Tepper play. I think that moving on from Cam Newton was a Tepper play. Yeah. So listen, that's why when people say, "Oh, they moved on," like they chose Teddy Bridgewater over Cam Newton. Did they? Did they really? Or did David Tepper see Cam Newton's injury history prevent them from being a contender 2 years in a row after he bought the organization? And then he's like, whatever, man, I'm cutting my losses. Right. I didn't draft Cam Newton. We're moving on. So that's why when people even say, oh, Joe Brady hand chose Bridgewater, man, like, it really doesn't even mean a whole lot to me. Like, this guy took Joe Burrow from a 4th round draft pick to the number 1 pick in the draft. And Joe Burrow, for whatever you want to say about him, the dude will throw down the field. The guy is fearless, okay? If you put a quarterback in Joe Brady's system that is willing to throw the football down the field and take chances on plays, this offense opens up. And I really think that, what Rashad was saying, whereas the stability in our organization, that's what Matt Rule is supposed to be. And if none of us think that Joe Brady is leaving after this year, that means we know we have Matt Rule next year. We know we have Joe Brady next year. Like, what if we invest picks in the offensive line later on? I don't see this scenario how we're so far away from being a contending football team, let alone a team that can't draft a quarterback right now. Like, none of that makes sense to me.
I'll ask.
The issue isn't about.
Yeah, this is all under Marty Hurney now.
I was going to ask you, Shelly.
Keep in mind, Marty Hurney, the GM. Let's keep that in mind.
And then I will go to Pat right after that. Is how do you fix the GM position then?
We should have been to fix it. I think the rumor The rumors are maybe Pat Stewart. I think there are some other rumors about some GMs. Andrew something. I heard about what's the capologist's name? Sally, some weird name. So there are some rumors for some GMs, but to be honest, like we've been saying, he should have been gone.
Yeah.
We got a lot of plans for this team, but I don't believe that Marty Herney is the GM that's going to do any of this. We've seen it. We've seen it. And like buddy, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Like he touched on, like he said, if we release him now, we're going to set ourselves back. But are we going to continue this same story with Marty Herney? If we don't release him, we see what Marty Herney can do. It might be another 20 years. It might be another 15 years with Marty Herney, waiting on Marty Herney to get right, waiting for him to get this team right. And I just don't feel like he's going to get it done. We can have all the hopes and dreams that we want, but I just don't feel like Marty Herney is the one to get the job done.
Tim Tizzy in our chat room says, Marty is gone after this year. End of contract.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, so I mean, we have to make a decision one way or another. So it's not we could just kind of let him hang out, you know? Like we could put him at so many other different positions, man. Like we don't need him in the front office.
Shellatron, how do we get stable? How do we get stable, Shellatron, at both the top and wherever you want to take it?
Stability at the top, well, that starts with the ownership. That starts with having a very clear plan and a very you have to have a good team around you. Not the team on the field, the team that is actually in the front office. You have to know what kind of guy you want, what kind of team you want to build, and what kind of people that guy is going to bring in. People like, Adam Gase or Bill O'Brien or some of these guys who are going to just bring in a bunch of family members or friends, kind of like what Ron Rivera did here with Eric. I want to get to that. But you have guys, who will bring in people who you can trust, who are actually good at their job and have been proven. Like right now, we don't need more coordinators, more coaches, more position group guys who really Joe Brady or not Joe Brady. Yeah, well, no. Well, yeah. Matt Rule, Joe Brady, all of them. People that they do in college, guys they worked with before 20 years ago, guys they are familiar with. They need to bring in guys who they actually believe can do the job and have a track record of doing so, not first-year guys, not people who are learning as they go, but guys who have been in the league showing excellence. And if it costs money, there's no cap for the kind of earnings that coaches get. Now, players, there's a cap. Coaches, David Tepper's already the richest coach, the richest owner in the league. So you can pay. He paid to get Matt Rule. So, I mean, you can go ahead and you can and he paid to get Joe Brady even more money, honestly. So you can probably you have to find the right guys in place. And I don't think things that you're used to, the names that the guys who you're doing a favor for is going to get that job done. I think you have to go out and actually find the names. I think maybe even Eric Bieniemy, guys who people can buy into. Guys, I mean, we're not getting. Yeah, you're exactly right. We probably can't get them, but
we ain't getting them at this point.
But guys who players can buy into, guys that have some kind of recognition. You say, okay, he's actually done something in this league. He's done something at some point in this league, and the team buys into him. The guys in the front office buy into him, and number one, the owner buys into him, and he's not constantly second guessing him, micromanaging him, and saying that's a good idea, but we're gonna do what I think right here. We need trust and really David Tepper to find a guy who he says, I am willing to take a back seat on this guy because he knows what he's doing and he can fill out this coaching staff and can bring in the kind of players that we need to make this team right. And it's really 100% on David Tepper and no one else.
Rashad, this is what I think CK was getting to, and I think it's a good point when it comes to Marty Herney. How do you replace how do you bring in the next big thing GM, the next guru GM or savant, when he ultimately is going to have to kind of answer to Rule? Right? Is that when you brought Rule in, you gave him 8 years, you gave him a long leash. Are you going to bring in a GM that's going to start saying, this is the vision I see? Or do you think you can find a GM who is as talented as, you kind of need, like a big balls GM or something that can find a common ground with a coach who's already there.
So yeah, Jason, did you want to jump in? Because I know you're trying to jump in on a couple of things before I.
I'm surprised y'all are like touching, but y'all. I feel like the elephants in the room. They already have their GM.
Pat Stewart.
Not even Matt Rule.
Who is it, Jason?
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule.
Think
about it. Think about it. Let's think about it.
I will have a conniption fit.
You might.
It's not official, but it's not official.
Think
But you're
about it.
saying he pretty much making all the
It's not this is just a take. This is just a take.
Right.
But think about this whole process here.
right.
Marty Herney, he's chilling. But what really kind of gave it away was the draft. Do you really think those draft picks were Marty Herney's idea?
Heck no.
It was Matt Rule, right? And it wasn't like they were just gonna boot him out away. So personally, what I think is they're just keeping Herney around to like kind of chill and like still do his thing. But it's gonna be a slow process into Matt Rule being maybe like the president of operations of some sorts, and maybe keeping Herney around to like maybe be like some type of maybe scouting director or something.
So
you're telling me that if Derek Brown is a bust, we know that Herney didn't make the pick. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Derek Brown
That's
is
what you're
already
hearing.
not
Yes.
a bust. We can look at him and
that,
see he's not a
in
bust.
In that same token, when you look at it from that perspective, then everything that everybody's saying Matt Rule or Marty Herney did wrong this year is on Matt Rule. The reports that Moton isn't going to be re-signed. They let James Bradbury walk. They let Cam Newton go. Sign Teddy Bridgewater. That's on Matt Rule at that point in time.
Yeah, listen. I understand that, and I've heard the same theory floated by a lot of people, and I'm just not buying it, man. Because if that's true, that Matt Rule already has so much power in this organization, and Joe Brady is the one that picked our quarterback, then literally, what the hell is Marty Herney even doing there? Like, there is no reason.
All guys.
There's no reason to. And by that, so then we say, okay, well, he's just the fall guy. Like, is he though? I don't know, man. Like, as
He's
of
been
right
before.
now,
Look at all these Temple and Baylor players on this team,
I
man.
know. I know, but listen,
Come on, man.
All the Baylor and all the Temple guys, like the proof is in the pudding, like in the offseason.
I talked about this on my show, and then when they ask him questions about roster moves, he'll say, "Oh no, that's up to Marty."
Yeah,
you think he's slick?
But so
right about this, Jason. Right about this.
Yeah, so
I'm about to blow the roof off for this.
So I think it's twofold, and I think I agree. I think that Rule is GMing in the background. He's being paid as such, right? He's being paid in the same breath as some of those guys that were doing that, Bill O'Brien. But I'll say this: I think the ideal situation is we go out and get us an Omar Khan from the Steelers. That would be a great scenario. Or option number 2 is that we go out and we keep Pat Stewart. I mean, Pat Stewart came from the Eagles organization. He was there when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, I believe. And so just to keep some sort of continuity there, maybe he knows how things are going on. He knows what Matt Rule wants. I think that's 2 options. But ideally, I'd like to see Omar Khan here, honestly. That's my – if it was me, I would like to see Omar Khan in the building, personally.
Why?
Because he came from the Steelers. He knows what winning looks like. He has I'm assuming that he worked together with Tepper. I'm assuming they have some sort of relationship. I'm just guessing their speculation.
Right. At least maybe they bumped elbows or rubbed elbows.
Exactly. They've been in the same building at some point. So I think I think he's on a contract year, if I'm not mistaken. I think he re-ups his contract every year. It's a year by year thing. So I think that is the ideal scenario is for us to get Omar Khan. But I do think there is some truth to the fact that Matt Rule is out here pulling the strings and Herney's just a fall guy. I do think that's
I don't
true.
think he's even a fall guy. I don't think he's a fall guy as much as this is that Herney, I think, has showed that he can work with people, right? He worked with Jerry Richardson when Jerry Richardson needed a lapdog or someone that jumped when he said jump. Marty Herney jumped, right? He paid. The reason he gave D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart those big contracts was because Jerry Richardson was leading that charge on the lockout year or whatever. Do you remember when they were all fighting? Remember when him and Peyton Manning got in a fight over how to read a chart or something like that? Jerry Richardson was paying his boys back because he knew that they took pay cuts because of what he did, and he always had his favorites. Jerry Richardson always had his favorites, right? He'd be like, I love D'Angelo, and I love when this lady lets me rub her feet. Those two things. And who was that white receiver that he loved so much?
Burson.
Brent Burson. That's another example. That might be Jerry Richardson's child. We don't know.
Yeah, that's his bastard love child, no doubt.
Right.
No doubt, for sure.
So, and I think this is that now Matt Rule has the keys, right, to the car. But somebody's got to park it at times. Somebody's got to wash it. Somebody's got to take it to go get the oil changed. And I think that's Marty Hurney. And I think that's why he kind of is still around at this point. I don't think it's a fall guy. I'm actually more concerned about bringing in somebody who is uber talented and has a lot of vision. What happens when that vision does not align with Matt Rule's is the question for me. So as we talk about this vision going,
I don't care as long as it wins. Shoot.
Yeah.
At what point is it okay to fire a GM? Like at what time of the year? Like, because I mean, you don't want to fire him before the draft.
Did it this year, ain't it?
It would be like right now.
Now. You want them to start on the draft and free. Well, you want them to start on.
You want them to be able to scout
and draft. I mean, you would want. That's why I've said, and I know Pat said it.
We're right after the draft.
The fact that it wasn't done already is a travesty, too, man.
Yes.
And then also, we haven't even mentioned this. Now you're asking a general manager to come into a situation where he gets no say-so in any of our staff. Our staff is in place. Our offensive coordinator's in place. Our head coach is in place. All of that stuff is in place. Normally, that's not how you do it. You have a general manager that's a part of those decisions.
Exactly.
And that's not what we're doing. We're doing an ass backwards, man.
But wouldn't he just be the president of football operations then? Like if we're going to have Matt Rule be the guy, then we're missing a question here anyway. The big question is Matt Rule even qualified to be a GM?
No.
I don't think so.
He's not, but that conversation we had recently about, foolish GMs and / owners who, put people in those positions based on hype. I mean, Matt Rule's had a lot of hype this year, especially like around the media as well. Like, regardless of how terrible the Panthers have looked at times, he's had a positive response from what I've been seeing.
Yeah. So, but that's I guess my point is right now, either we have the person on the team that is going to be the GM, be it somebody in the background or Matt Rule, or we're not firing Hurney until after the draft. And then all the things that you guys worry about with him with the draft are out of the, that's still going to be the same issue you're worried about this year. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying right now, it should have happened a while ago. It should have happened when the regime change happened over the offseason.
Yep.
But it didn't. And now that's why I'm saying we're looking at a possible setback if we do it now.
And that's why I'm afraid to get a quarterback.
But
that's not why for me. I think we shouldn't get a quarterback regardless.
To piggyback on something, on Jason's conspiracy theory here, listen, having a head coach be your general manager at the same time is a recipe for disaster. Number one, Bill Belichick might be the best head coach of all time, but I don't know if y'all have kept track of his draft record. He ain't hitting on players, okay? And then you saw what happened to Bill O'Brien. They gave him the keys to the kingdom, and that man set the Texans back years. There is a reason why these are two different positions. I mean, you don't want
trades, right? Though Belichick trades and free agency, he always hits outside of Sanu. He's
right
in contracts.
But he's one of the. We're talking about one of the greatest to ever do.
You can't compare Bill Belichick and the Patriots to anything in the NFL.
Right.
That's fair.
Was Bill O'Brien a better GM or a better coach or worse? He's not a good coach, so I don't think the answer could be a coach. But
wait, who? Wait, what?
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
I feel like he was a worse coach than he was a GM.
Do we have to choose?
I think
Like,
it was
he could just
equally
be
bad
bad
on
at
both
both.
counts.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was
All right.
bad.
I think that's fair. Here, I'm going to raise this question, you guys. It's from the chat room. Jarrett Costin, thanks for the super chat. He said Tepper messed up when Andrew Barry had his interview blocked because it wasn't a promotion. He wouldn't agree to fire or demote Hurney. He has to go.
That's a
Can
fact.
someone? All right, Rashad, you elaborate on that because
That's a fact.
kind of escaping my memory.
order, yeah, my bad. And I didn't mean to talk over you, but in order to be hired, you have to go laterally, right? You can't, or it has to be an upgrade. You can't come from one position equal to the other position. What happened was we had to let go of Marty Hurney to make that happen. We didn't let go of Marty Hurney to move in Andrew Barry. Wow. That's where he messed up, and that's what he's saying. That's what he's pointing out. Shout out to Jared. Yeah. He's a Jack Cat for PNP. So shout out to Jared. But that's a good point. It's a great point.
So the thing is, like, I remember we went over that, and I wasn't too happy about that because I'm like, there was an opportunity to demote Hurney, get him out of the paint. But because they couldn't demote it, they didn't demote him. He was with the Browns before, or the Eagles, right? Who was he with before?
Eagles.
So he was with the Eagles before, so the Eagles could say no because it was a lateral job.
It was a lateral
If it was a
move,
promotable job, the Eagles couldn't say no. They didn't have a choice in the matter.
So all we had to do was let go of, just demote, just move Hurney somewhere else in the building, down. And then you have Andrew Barry as your GM. So
create a position called first round pick guy and just put him as the first round pick guy and get Andrew Barry in here.
Yeah. By the way, Andrew Barry, that's the GM for the Browns now, right?
Correct.
And by the way, have you seen his draft? Have y'all seen what Tristan Wirfs is doing for them? Like, man, I'm telling you, man, dude, I am too, man. And I'm telling you, like, people don't understand how bad this Marty Hurney thing is. And one of the things that makes it so bad, but one of the things that makes it so bad, Tony, is that on its surface, it's not like a coaching. It's not like Adam Gase, where everyone knows that guy is a terrible head coach and the media at large is calling for his job. No, Hurney is undercover terrible. So you have to dig into his numbers and his draft history and his free agent signings to understand how he's setting your team back. And that's even more dangerous because that's like the cancer that kills you slowly, man. He has to go. That has to be mission number one.
I think Marty Hurney is like Teddy Bridgewater. I think Marty Hurney's like Teddy Bridgewater. He's just like poor, man. He's not terrible. He's not awful, and he's not great. Right? That's really what I feel. And the other thing I feel about this is the real reason I don't. I've been very upset. Well, not very upset. Like, I can't sleep at night because of Marty Hurney. I thought when he got, you remember when his wife said that he was, you remember he went on that 2-week suspension? Of stalking. I was like, all right, Hurney's out of here.
Finally, he's out.
I have seen teams in the past hire their coach and their GM separately, and then they get into fights. Right, and it happened to the Jets. It happened with Chip Kelly and the Eagles, where they put the GM in the basement at one point. He was like in a different building or something. And I just like the idea of bringing in a GM and a coach together and saying, you guys live together and you die together. When we fire one of you, we fire both of you. Well, so you can't be pointing at each other saying like, well, if the coach would have done what I told him in the draft, or the coach says, if he would have given me better people. No, you both are in it together to win or lose.
And I agree with you, but it does work in some instances. If you take a look at the Chiefs, you got Andy Reid. They had their GM, John Dorsey. They came in at the same time, but there was a disagreement there. And somewhere along the lines, they disagreed. They brought in a new GM. Veach, I believe is his last name, and he came in and really put the icing on the cake for that team. He's the one that came in, traded Marcus Peters, traded D4. We talked about this yesterday on our show. He's the one that really started to brought in Tyrann Mathieu. So it works in some cases. Obviously, I went best case scenario, right. But I'm just saying that it does work in some cases. But I agree with your point. We should have brought them in together at the same time. We didn't. We missed the boat there.
All right, I'll pass the mic around on this. All right, we know that Marty Hurney is not anybody's ideal candidate going forward. How does this team get better next year? Actually, no. Before we do that, I got one quick question before that. What do you want to see in the last 4 games of the season, guys? What do you want to see? What do you want out of it? Do you want wins? Do you want to see something? What do you want to see in these final 4 games to finish this 2020 bizarre of a year season?
I do want to see development in certain positions, but I don't think I want to see any more wins at this point. Because I think we need to try to build around Teddy. I'm not trying to get a quarterback. I just want to try to get us in the best scenario to build around the quarterback that we currently have. Because I don't think we should be drafting a quarterback this year. Teddy's going to be here for at least another year, probably for the next 2. So at this point, I don't think, like, if we want to draft a quarterback, let's do it in 2022. I don't think it's necessary to do it in 2021. So I want to try to build around and try to show some level of progress. And then if we got to go get this quarterback, we go get that quarterback in 2022. And now we have something around him to work with.
For me, it's real simple. I want to see Christian McCaffrey healthy. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. I've already seen a lot of really good progress from the players I wanted to. Brian Burns looks crazy. Jeremy Chin looks really good. Even YGM, when he's playing the game, has looked good. I think most of the players that are going to be around for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 2 years, have shown at least some level of very solid growth and development so far this season. I mean, the problems I have with the team is really the O-line and DBs. We haven't even seen very much. We've seen a little bit of our rookie DBs, but for the most part, I mean, I'm looking at Christian McCaffrey being healthy, and everyone else who I wanted to see progress out of, I've seen enough to make me think, to already convince me they'll be good. They're going to continue to be even better next year. I'm not concerned about them unless they get hurt. But as far as it really is C-Mac. It really is C-Mac. That's all.
Pat, what do you want to see in the final 4 games?
For me, I want to watch this defense, man. I really don't care if we win any more games, I'm going to be honest. But I want to watch this defense. I like what we're doing on defense, and I hope they continue to develop. Offensive wise, I'm gonna be honest. This is why I say I don't see no point of this whole Teddy Bridgewater, because I want to see more of PJ Walker. I want to see more of him. Now I feel like that'll show us what this team could be in the future. Teddy Bridgewater, he's a solid quarterback, but I just feel like this was a waste of a signing. So I want to see more of PJ Walker in these last few games just to see what he can do. He's a young quarterback. And to me, if he's able to develop, there wouldn't be no reason for us to draft no quarterback in the first round. I'm good with all our weapons on offense. The O-line, I want to see them continue to develop. Outside of that, I don't care about winning no games, man. We might not win anymore, but I don't care. I just want to see the defense, because the defense is starting to look exciting. They showed some positives, and I really, really like where they're going. So I want to see them, definitely.
CK?
I'm in a similar boat. I want to see more PJ Walker. You guys are gonna rake me over the coals with this. I also want to see Will Grier.
I agree with that.
Because and I'll go to the defense of a lot of people when they say, "Oh, he's garbage." He was put in the worst possible scenario a rookie quarterback could ever be put in. He was going with one of the worst offensive lines against one of the best teams in the NFL, and you expected him to just throw bombs down the field. I mean, come on. It's not going to work that way. So I think we need to give him an opportunity to show what he's able to do in a different system with a coach who's actually going to be able to put him in a place to succeed. So we'll see what happens there. But I do think there should be an even mix between PJ Walker and Will Grier. I'm looking forward to that. But as far as wins, I don't want to wish for wins or losses, but I will not be upset if the losses come.
Rashad, the last 4 games, what do you want to see? And do you see a world where we see PJ Walker or Will Grier in these 4 games in the final weeks?
I'd argue that Josh Rosen was probably putting a little bit worse of scenario than Will Grier, but that's neither here nor there. But for the last 4 games, listen, it doesn't matter. I'm not looking for wins or losses. Doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, what I'm looking for, and it's a lot of you guys already touched on it, but what I'm looking for is situational coaching. What are the coaches going to do in these these scenarios where the game is on the line, clock management has been awful. What are we going to do to improve there? I just want the coaching to improve. And so whoever's starting at quarterback doesn't really matter. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be here next year. I know y'all don't want him there, but he's going to be here. He's going to be here next year and maybe the year after that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, just compete. And I'm looking to see situational coaching be a little bit better.
What has been so awful about the clock management outside of, to me, it seems like it's with the quarterback not getting the snaps off, right?
We never have all of our timeout. We have all of our timeouts gone by the time the 5 minutes of the last.
All right, but is that on the? Do you think that that's is that coaching players? And what are
that's not new.
I'll put it to you this way. No, I'll put it to you this way, and I'll just leave it as simple as this. And Rashad might be saying this, but I'm going to go in and say it right now. Ron Rivera had a guy whose primary job is to manage the clock. That was his gig.
Years of.
Did he do it?
After years,
did he do it?
Yes.
No, he was not good at it.
Huh?
He was not good at managing that clock. We never saw a Ron Rivera team good at any of that mess.
Where do you see that?
The last season, that's when I think the last few seasons when he was here.
The last couple of years when he was here, he was better at clock management. But the thing is, we used to beat up Ron when he first showed up as the head coach when it came to clock management. And it never got better. And damn it, Rule is arguably worse than Ron at this point.
He's worse.
He's worse than Ron.
The first 8 games, I didn't think so, or at least the first 6 games, I thought he was actually doing a really good job. I think here as late it's been.
He was a timeout burner throughout the entire season.
But how much leeway do you give a first-year head coach on this?
Like, somebody that's making $8-9 million a year? Not too much.
It's still his first year, though, man.
We threw the bag at him. But what I'm saying is this, right? Whether we like it or not, no matter how much we paid that man, that's our head coach going forward. That man is supposed to be our one constant going forward, okay? So Matt Rule is here to stay. Like, at what point do we as Panther fans say, okay, man, let's look at this roster. It's not a great roster, okay? We have first-year head coaches, and they're all kind of learning on the fly. Like, at what point is our criticism unreasonable?
I want to stay on the clock.
At all points for the Panthers fans.
I'll be the first one to admit that I've been unreasonable.
I don't care. Shoot.
This is the same family.
I'm tired of this, man. Nobody want to stick around for all this, and you want to go through another 20 years of this?
Look, man, we have people talking about drafting a quarterback next year, letting him sit for a year, and then, bringing him in. This is the same fan base not too long ago, meaning last year, who was begging the front office to put Will Grier in when everyone knew it was a bad situation. This fan base wanted to see Will Grier. They were begging everyone to let Will Grier play the game, bro. So I'm talking about, man, you draft a guy like Trey Lance. Let us be 3-1. We lost the game. Put Trey Lance in. I told you Teddy
like that right now.
I told you Teddy couldn't do it.
We're like that right now.
Nobody don't talk like that in the
PJ
fan
Walker.
Exactly
that right now. It's like
nobody a top 10 pick is never gonna live behind this old line we're gonna have next year.
Plus, I don't believe this.
So Tony, just to go back to your original question about the clock management, I think Rule has come out and admittedly said that we don't get the plays in on time. So I think a lot of people are they're calling Teddy and blaming Teddy for not snapping the ball and the clock goes down to 0.
His fault too, Rashad.
It might be on Teddy, but I'm not in the huddle. I'm not going to sit here and say for sure it's Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know that. None of us here.
You can see he be trying to figure out the defense. He can't figure it out.
He does audible with 10 seconds left.
Yeah, he changed his mind. Did you hear him? Did you hear that? Was it the last game? He said, "Oh, I lied." Did you hear him say that?
Oh, I lied.
He said, "I lied." No, wait a second. Dang, what? Like,
I don't think I've ever seen Teddy Bridgewater rush, except for that last play when he hurt his arm. That was the most I've ever seen him rush to the line to get a snap off, and that was just so he can get off the edge of get off the field at that point in time.
I don't really have a problem with us burning timeouts in the first half if it's going to potentially keep us from ruining an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're on the and I feel like they've called those timeouts because they were concerned about Teddy being able to get the playoff. I felt like we've gotten away with a ton of delay of game penalties this season. I don't know how we've done it. I want to ask, I'll turn this question. Let's turn to Teddy Bridgewater for a moment. What were your thoughts of Teddy Bridgewater after this past game? In the way that he handled the issues surrounding the challenges that this team faced in the fourth quarter, particularly that final drive where they get the ball on the 9 and can't do anything with it. Teddy Bridgewater comes out after the game immediately and says, basically, the play was late. We didn't have a good look. He said we didn't have the look. We didn't have the look we wanted. I wanted to check to a run. What were your thoughts? And then he changed his tune a little bit on Monday, but not really. What were your thoughts about Teddy? Actually, I'll put it this way. Has your opinion of Teddy changed throughout this season?
Yes.
Absolutely not. This is the same. I feel like this, man. The background. I feel like this, man. So you've talked about how like Teddy's been like, I'll call him 5 because I've been calling him 5 on Twitter since that game. 5 has been somewhat lackadaisical, then be kind of chill. Oh, everything's good, which is understandable. You just got paid. You might make $63 million if your contract runs through. So life is good for you, bro. I mean, what do you really have to worry about? I mean, yeah, you are, I guess, you're still responsible for the team here and there, and you still have all that pressure, but you good pretty much. You're already paid. That's how I look at it. And he's never really been that franchise quarterback that a lot of people thought he was personally. And I feel like that immaturity that he displayed kind of proved that even more.
True.
It made me angry. So I'll be the first to say it. Like that was the first time I've ever been pissed off at him.
Everything he does makes me angry, man. Because listen, the man can throw the ball down the field. He chooses not to do so. I'm telling you, man, he will stay on that first progression too long. And dude, he has these weird moments where he'll miss a wide open guy in the flat. Like there is nothing about Teddy Bridgewater that says, bro, Teddy didn't miss in the flat. I mean, Cam didn't miss in the flat, bro. Listen, what I'm saying is this. Teddy Bridgewater, what Jason said is true, has never demonstrated the ability to be a franchise quarterback, both on or off the field. And then him not taking responsibility for damn near tearing DJ Moore's ACL in half, bro, that's unacceptable. And we know this man reads Twitter. Man, he was going back and forth with Panther fans. So you know that everyone bitches about your arm talent. You know that everyone says you're not aggressive enough. You hear all the criticisms about you, and yet you do nothing to answer them. Bro, come on, man. And like, I really don't understand people that are saying that we have potential to build around him. What are you building around? Bridgewater does nothing for this football team, bro. Even a first-year quarterback with more guts than him is going to do more for this offense. And the proof in the pudding is P.J. Walker.
Pat, how is your opinion of Teddy Bridgewater, or has it changed throughout the season?
It has definitely changed. I'm be honest. When it came to Teddy Bridgewater, I thought he was a good guy. I liked I initially liked, I was okay with the signing, and even though it didn't make any sense, I was okay with it. And even with his talent, I try to give him some slack. Dealing with, we don't really have the offensive line. This is his first year here. This is his first year with Matt Rule. So I was trying to give him some slack, man. And even with the bad games he had, y'all watch my show, man. I wasn't real big on him. I call him a game manager. I was all right with it. But just this last game, yeah, that was icing on the cake for me, man. Yeah. Because really, that Saints game, that were really kind of threw a light switch on for me. I was like, man, you two buddy with the enemy. Yeah. And I was like, you smiling for the look. Cam used to smile, but you smiling at the wrong time. We losing. Like, what are you doing, man?
You're
like, you
chilling,
was just
dapping people up,
you dapping everybody up, sitting on the bench with them in the middle of the game. What is you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And so that last game is like, no, man, I ain't get it. With the interview y'all talked about, it was terrible. Because I actually watched that interview live on my show right after the game. And I said, this don't make no sense. You didn't even answer the questions. You pushing the blame. And Polo the Matt Rule, he had to take all the blame. Yeah, we didn't get the call in from Teddy. Like, man, come on, man. And you actually, yeah, it was the coach's fault. Yo, you really coming off as a mark, yo. I mean, and I hate to say that. I hate to call him a mark on your show, but that's how you coming off. He coming off as a mark. He coming off as a weirdo.
What do y'all mean by this term, Mark?
You a mark? That's all. Because marks don't know what mark means, so you might be a mark. I pretty much call that. I call anybody I don't like a mark. So
okay.
Yeah,
I would say,
that's an old school.
That's
an old
children
school
when he
slang
drives
word.
by. It's an old school what?
It's a slang term. You ain't never heard Mark. You ain't never heard Ice Cube.
No, I heard about it. Like back in the 80s. I didn't
like
know
if somebody see you on the street with your head like that, they're gonna say, "Oh, that's a Mark," and they're gonna run your pockets, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're gonna run your pockets.
They know that this. They
can't find him on Trade Street. Hold up.
Wow.
Oh, that's a Mark.
They're gonna see this hair and they're gonna be like, "Shit, I don't want to end up in swimming with the fishes."
Oh,
that's what they're gonna say. See this hair right here, bro.
Tony Montana,
and it's tame right here. My mom's maiden name is Pancini, homie.
Oh,
all right. So
you ain't no Mark then.
I do have some opinions about the way Teddy is that I'm kind of middle of the road on Teddy for a lot of things. Is like I think that people can be too hard on him in some cases, but I do have some real issues with some of his limitations. I won't say issue. I don't know what I'm saying. Like I think he has a ceiling that is pretty low, a floor that's kind of high at point. But I didn't like the way he handled that, particularly is that he just didn't take any accountability. And I don't need you to like kowtow to me as like, you're not trying to impress me, Teddy. But I felt it resembled a little bit to me like Tom Brady after that game where he thought there was another down. And then he went into the press conference and he's like, I was just trying to get a chunk, man. We need a chunk. And you're like, dude, you should have just said I fucked up. I made a bad throw. And then is that hold your children tight when Teddy drives by in that minivan. It's sketch. He's going to throw you in there. He's going to throw you in that minivan and kill you. Rashad, has your opinion of Teddy Bridgewater changed specifically? And also, can you address kind of what happened after this past game and the way he handled his performance?
Yeah, no, my opinion of Teddy really hasn't changed. But I will say that, I've said it on Twitter. I've said it on my show. As someone who I do support Teddy, I'm a Teddy supporter, and I'm not like a super fan. Like I like Teddy, I like him, and I support him. And I thought he didn't handle that properly. He obviously should have taken some blame. He should have took some responsibility. Even if you were right in what you were saying that the call didn't come in, blah blah blah, whatever. You still had an opportunity to hit DJ Moore wide open in the end zone. All that being said, you still had a chance to make it up. All right. So, and you got to take responsibility for missing the dude. He came back the next day and said, "Hey, I messed up." Obviously, it's a little too late, but I don't agree with the way he said it. But I'll say this. I'll just say this from Teddy. Just think about this for a second. I said this on my show. Teddy, you got to understand where Teddy came from. Teddy came from New Orleans Saints, correct? Yes. He was 5-0 with the New Orleans Saints, right? So Teddy's probably been in a situation where he's used to having a guy that's not going to panic in these situations. All right. So what he said may have been not the proper way to think, maybe not the proper way to display it, but you got to understand where he's coming from, right? He's come from a system, dude's got it under control, and then you come to a system with a bunch of first-year coaches that don't quite know what they're doing. He said it publicly, shouldn't have did it, but you got to understand where he's coming from that aspect. Again, I don't think Teddy's the greatest quarterback ever, okay? But I think he is who he is, and you cannot ignore what he did with the Saints. Okay, given all that was around him.
What, he threw the ball like 12 times a game.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
He played 5 games on a team that had a remarkably improved defense, and he did not lose the games. He did not. There was not one game that he. There was one game I think he kind of like showed out a little bit, but other than that, he just didn't crash the car.
Mm-hmm. That's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. Right, that's my point, and that's why I'm saying there is a pathway for Teddy to be okay. And we have to, even no matter, and my thing is this, listen, no matter who the quarterback is, you need to proceed in the same direction. You still need to build your team, right? Yeah. No matter who the quarterback is. That's my point. And so when you introduce that new quarterback, he's gonna be straight because you built the team properly. No matter who the quarterback is.
Let me push back on this one point about the panic concept. He said the words panic. Right? Mm-hmm. He was like, I think we panicked a little bit. Do you really think that Joe Brady panicked necessarily? Or do you think that they were really like, I mean, maybe was he just slow to process what was going on? Because all I heard was this. All I heard from Teddy for 2 days straight was, if we have 5 more seconds, I would have checked to a run. He said it like 7 times. I would have checked to a run. The look wasn't there. How is the look not there when DJ Moore is wide open? The look is there.
I agree. I agree.
B, why is I call him Tea Party Teddy. He's so conservative. Tea Party Teddy don't want the ball in his hands when it matters.
I can't argue that. He should have hit DJ. So I'm not gonna sit up here and say I'm not in the huddle. I don't know if he panicked or not. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate whether that's the case or not. But I will say, even in that scenario, even after DJ was missed wide open, it was 4th and 3. Coaching staff probably could have still went for it and mitigated some of that.
I agree.
So again, panic. That's part of the coaching staff panicking. It's part of it. It's part of it.
Rule in critical did say, he said if it was, I like Rule's answer. He said if we were on the 2, I would have gone for it. But from the 3. He said we had not had any success, and he did say that. Like, look, is that our offense couldn't do shit. So thinking they would have one more play would help them. All right, let's. I know you guys got a lot to do tonight. We got a couple last kind of things to tie up, and then we'll get to the cat calls. And we'll let you guys be on your way. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the defense and Phil Snow, guys? David, you want to start us off here?
I think the defense has been improving significantly over the past couple of weeks. And I've been impressed with how well they've been playing over the past few weeks. That being said, I'm happy that he made the decision to freaking sit. They just made the call to sit Whitehead because that was long overdue. But at the same time, I want to see more. I still think they need more pieces on that end. I know we've been complaining about the offense a lot. I mean, the defense a lot all season, and the defense is finally showing stride at the end of the year, but I still think they need some more pieces there. I still think we need a middle linebacker. But I think the defense is finally hitting their stride. It looks like folks are believing in what Phil Snow's trying to do. I gave Phil Snow a massive amount of heat at the beginning of this ride because they were terrible, man. They couldn't stop a run to save his life. I could have been an all-pro running back running behind that line at one point. It was bad. But now they're showing it, and hopefully they can keep that. You know, we said the same thing about the as long as they can keep that, I think we'll be fine. I know people last week was trying to blame the defense for the loss to the Vikings. I'm like, I'm not blaming a side that scored more points than the damn offense. Can't do it, won't do it, refuse to do it. So he's going in the right direction.
Pat,
and I don't think he's going anywhere for a while anyway. So
Pat, have you been surprised, impressed, or disappointed by the defense in Phil Snow?
Man, it's still hard to tell, man. Some games he looks like he knows what he's doing, and other games is like, man, make some adjustments. So I'm still kind of confused on this Phil Snow guy. I talk about him all the time. One game is like, man, I really don't like this dude. I don't think he's gonna get it. Then other game is like, okay, I like it. So I just want to see more consistency from this guy. You know, I ain't gonna beat him up too bad. Especially after that last game, and he can thank Jeremy Chin for that. But I want to see more. I ain't gonna beat him up. I just want him to be more consistent, and we'll be able to see, with these last few games. That's part of what I want to see from the defense. I want to see what Phil Snow can do.
Yep. Shellytron, are you impressed, disappointed with this defense and Phil Snow?
I like it. I've always liked it. Outside of the first, I think, 3 weeks, I thought that Phil Snow showed that he can adjust. I think the first 2 or 3 weeks, there weren't adjustments. I think he showed that he can adjust. I think this defense has always been bend but don't break. I think a lot of us get kind of worried about yards being how teams win games. When it's points, we felt some pretty good offenses to field goals in spots where we honestly shouldn't have. We gave up first down after first down after first down, get to the 3-yard line, and they kick a field goal. And then it becomes our offense gets a chance at the end of games to score, to either go ahead or tie, and we lose games. So I can't say that the defense was the main reason we lost games or was like a huge, huge problem. Like we were giving up a lot of touchdowns or they were so bad that we need a huge overhaul between what was happening early, middle part of the season and now. And the defense is way better now. Defense is actually getting the ball, taking the ball away, and we're seeing some really big progression out of guys like Brian Burns, who we always knew would be a star, but didn't exactly, he didn't have he had an injury last year that kind of derailed that. We're seeing guys like Jeremy
and Ron Rivera.
He was gunner too. Playing gunner, that'll limit you too.
Yeah, and also Eric Washington, who I thought was a buddy hire that made me really just off the whole Ron Rivera train. I was an apologist for Ron Rivera for a long time. Eric Washington was a horrible defensive coordinator, lost his job. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I could go a long time about Eric Washington, but the point is that we have a defense and a coordinator who is willing to adjust. Now, sometimes, like in that Saints game, it took him a little bit. It took him a second or two to actually adjust. It took him a whole half when I think every single fan sitting on their couch knew what the game plan was defensively against Drew Brees, and it took Phil Snow a little bit too long to figure that out. But they only had 2 field goals in the second half of that game, and we had a chance to win. So, I mean, I think that for a good amount of time now, the defense looked really good. They've gotten better. I think that Phil Snow in his second year with these players who are going to be getting better next year can only go up. It can really only go up. I mean, even if we're going to be really good next year. I'm straight with it.
CK, your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to really make any other assumptions based on what everybody said at this point. I agree. I think, we're on an upswing. That's my main thing. We're on an upswing. I still think it's important that we acknowledge that Jeremy Chin was a 2 months in a row now of defensive player, rookie of the month. So I think we've got a pretty good player there. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to accomplish as the future continues to go on. But other than that, I think we're a team with a high ceiling, and I just want to see us continue to progress, in a positive way.
Rashad, what do you think about Phil Snow? For me, I just feel like, is that this guy has done a lot with very little. Limited talent. I've always described this team as this defense specifically as half rookies, half bums. And somehow they've not been allowing 45 points a game. Right? I mean, really, the points per game has been pretty solid this game. The bend and not break. Your thoughts on Phil Snow and this young defense?
Yeah, no, I like what Phil Snow has done the last couple games. They're turning the corner here. I think he over the last 2 games, I think we've seen a lot more pressure. Partially getting out of those little 3-man rushes, bringing some more blitzes. That's what I like to see. It's improving. I was killing the man for the 3-man. I was about to change the name of my podcast to 3-man rush. I was going to call one of you guys to come on, and I changed to the 3-man rush because that's all we saw. But yeah, he's improving, man. He's improving, and I like what I see out the defense. Like you said, they're young. They were limited with some talent. Even K'Wan Short goes down. Eli Apple supposed to have him. He's not around. So yeah, again, like you said, there's not a lot to work with. And he's turning the corner right now. And we just got to bring the offense along now. I think the offensive listen, I was the guy that's saying, hey, our defense wasn't playing good. Our offensive line wasn't playing good. But listen, that's been no excuse for the last 2 games. So we got to bring the offense along, and hopefully we can kind of put it together. That's kind of what I'm looking to see over the last 4 games.
Shout out to Slim J in the chat room. He says, I type in all caps because I do it big. And he also was saying Teddy was a leader on that 4th down run in the Chiefs game. I think this is every time we've seen Teddy make a great decision, it's been about running the ball, either handing it off or running himself. Guys, as you've mentioned, look, is that the expectations were lower going into this season than they've been for a while for Carolina Panther fans, and that's made it easy for me. Like, I have everything. I've been playing with house money all season long, right? Is that like here is like what's the worst that's if we're in the fact that these games are watchable and we're close and we've won a couple is like a win for me. How do we improve over the next year through free agency and the draft? And I know that's a kind of a loaded ass question that can go so many ways, but if you want to kind of list what do you think the kind of areas of need in that order are going forward? I'll start with Jason.
Okay, this is awesome. I've been waiting to talk about this. So personally, I'd say go corner first. Then if Sewell is somehow not available, hold off on offensive line personally. Then maybe if not a corner, then go after a middle linebacker or Kyle Pitts.
So you're saying secondary improvement, offensive line, and then was offensive line number 2?
Offensive line. I feel like offensive line and tight end are kind of neck and neck for me right now. I have to see more, honestly.
Don't say tight end to Tony, man. He'll flip out on you.
Here's my thing.
He believes drafting a tight end in the first round is tantamount to burning a Bible on top of the American flag or something like that.
My thing is this.
Usually
what other option do they have? They don't have a tight end right now. This is an NFL team that barely utilizes their tight ends outside of blocking, and that's a problem in 2020. And the only tight end that's really worth going after in the first round, personally, is Kyle Pitts. Everybody else, is like, okay.
Dude, I've heard so many tight ends being floated out as the next best thing. And, Greg Olsen was the next best thing in 2011, it was maybe 2010, somewhere in there. We wanted to draft. I remember Joey wanted to draft Greg Olsen, and he went to the Bears, and we ended up trading for, and he didn't do much in his first 2 years. I've heard O.J. Howard. I've heard Jack Doyle. I've heard Hunter Henry. And look, is the only 2 tight ends in the league right now that are making that type of impact were not drafted in the first round. Rashad, what do you think the ways to improve? What do you think the ranking of importance going forward to fix this team?
And real quick, before you go, Rashad, shout out to my man Carl for the $9 love bomb, man. Appreciate you. Sorry, your Twitter account got thrown in the chat. Or
Slim J with the $5 as well.
Yeah, Slim. Yeah, Tony mentioned his.
Oh, did he? My bad. I missed it.
Yeah, so for me, it's about positions of value, right? We've paid running backs. We know how that goes, but we got to shift. We got to shift to positions of value, right? We've ignored the offensive line. We talk about drafting the quarterback for the next 10 years. Well, I like to see us draft a left tackle for the next 10 years. We haven't had a left tackle since Jordan Gross here, so please go get me a left tackle. And again, I'm not saying reach for it. The long-term left tackle, yes, that's what I mean. So I apologize, but yeah. So I mean, I don't want us to reach for it. So right. I think Penei Sewell is the top guy. I don't think he's going to be there, and I think there's a huge drop off from that point. But if we're in range, we really need to figure that out. Whether it's the first, second round, we got to get us a left tackle for the long term. That's priority number 1 for me. But again, BPA, I do like Micah Parsons a lot. I like Caleb Farley a lot. So I'm with the cornerbacks, offensive line, and really BPA. But if it falls the way it falls, Micah Parsons, Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, a left tackle, somewhere in that range.
Is there a scenario that you could see a quarterback being the best player available?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. And if it falls to you, hey, it is what it is. You evaluated your guy. That's your guy. He fell to you. Take him. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with it. I'm just there's concerns behind it, but I don't have a problem with it.
My mama is in the chat room. My mom's in there, and she said, "What?" I said, "You're the Gumata of the century." We're using Italian terms here. That's what I was saying, moms. All right, Pat Coltrane. What do you want to see fixed on this team going forward, or how do you envision it being fixed? I like Jason's contention of a corner. I think they're expensive. I always think of expensive positions in free agency. Left tackle, defensive end, corner, quarterback. I guess that's all the things we need are all expensive in free agency.
Positions of value, yes. Yeah. That's why they're expensive.
Pat, where do you see this team needing help? I think it was Shelatron that mentioned earlier, strong safety. We'll get a left tackle before we get a strong safety. We haven't had a strong safety since damn Mike Minter, homie.
Mike Minter.
Right. So I'm kind of like Rashad, man. I think this whole offseason, we need to focus on this offensive line. I'll be good with that. If they can just focus on this offensive line. I want us to have that mindset that Jerry Jones had one year where he just said, I want to have the best offensive line in the league. And I feel like that's what I want us to do. I want us to attack that in free agency. I want us to attack that in the draft. Of course, we might not get everybody saying Sewell. If we don't, I'm good with that. Then I'm like Rashad said, best player available. And I just don't believe that the quarterback position is going to be that. So offensive line, definitely linebackers. We definitely need linebackers. I'm be honest. I would like to get some more veteran presence on the defensive front. Just so Derek Brown is going to need that. We see how much impact he can have. If we can have another veteran defensive lineman, I think this defense will definitely be a lot better next year. So offensive line, linebackers, and defensive line. I'm kind of putting defensive line above our DB situation just because I know it's an ugly situation right now. But I feel like if we can somehow retain Rasul Douglas, pick up some, second tier cornerbacks, man. But I feel like you really win in the trenches, man.
Hey, Pat, can you say that one more time, man?
Man, look, and I'm only doing this.
I love Rasul Douglas, dude. He's like my favorite player on this team.
But who balling out? Since you want to talk about it, who is balling out right now?
Bro. He's balling. He's balling.
That's all I'm been put in some very tough situations.
Is he $16 million a year balling though?
Heck yeah.
No.
You for
crazy?
real?
That's crazy.
No.
Relax.
Yeah, we've been on here too. He's not even the top paid corner right now. Y'all serious right now? It's a setup.
You giving him 16 a year? You giving him 16 a year?
No.
Heck yeah.
Oh no!
Crack. That's crack.
I think y'all talking different things.
That's why y'all never had nothing nice.
Y'all are talking two different things.
That's why y'all team never gonna have nothing nice.
I think y'all talking about two different things though. Pat was talking about Bradbury.
No. No. I'm sorry. Appreciate it, Rashad.
I thought you was talking about Rasul. I was about to say.
Oh, okay. No. I'm definitely
we're not playing Rasul
because I feel like Rasul.
That's what I was talking
I will
about.
say this: Rasul Douglas he's a baller, but I haven't seen enough from him to want to pay him franchise money. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a baller though.
He's shown he's a decent too. He's a decent too.
Yeah,
he's had to go up against DeAndre Hopkins. He's had to go up against a lot of good players. So they haven't done him any favors in the matchups. He's been in a difficult situation throughout the season, but he's instantly become a leader on this team, which is very important. I think that is probably, if we didn't make the Rasul Douglas acquisition, this defense would have been
ugly,
atrocious.
Yeah. Oh my God, it would have been ugly.
And better, and I'll say this: better Rasul than Dante Jackson. Please,
agreed.
Get him off of Mike Evans. Get him off of all the number one corners. Put that man in the right position to succeed. We are doing him no service.
He needs to be that nickel position right there.
Exactly.
No, they're going to put him on the street, Tony. That's where they're going to put down.
He's not an outside corner either.
Cody, your thoughts on Cody, your thoughts on how to build this team going forward?
Listen, man, I think that this defense still needs some work. I think we need 2 corners. I think we need another free safety because Trey Boston is not a long-term answer. The man still cannot tackle to save his life, and that's a problem. How about this, man? This is the worst linebacking core that I can remember seeing for the Panthers in forever, y'all. And maybe I know it got a little bit better after Whitehead sat on the bench. But, man, and it's like I've been asking, and I think we're all kind of wondering this to some degree, like, is our linebacking core just that bad, or are we finally seeing what it's like to not have 59 on the field?
I think that's what it is. It's the latter.
I mean, honestly, it's probably a little bit of both of them, if we're being honest. So, I mean, yeah, our defense still needs some work. Listen, man, I know I'm beating a dead horse over here. I just don't want the Panthers to be picking top 10 the next couple of years. I believe we can do all the things that we want to do while picking a quarterback first, should that guy fall to us, kind of like Rashad said. If we have the player that we trust and that our building loves, and man, I'm all for going grab the quarterback of the future. And then, look, there are guys that are going to be available later on in the draft. Alex Leatherwood from Alabama. There's a few guys from Notre Dame on the offensive line who are some name talents. Like, there's this notion that, like, you have to spend like a year or two of first-round picks on the offensive line. And while that might be nice, it's not necessary. I mean, sometimes you're just a few pieces away. And I don't think our offensive line is very far away from being competitive, man. But we just need to sign Taylor Moton. And I don't know if that's going to happen, man. And that's embarrassing. To be very real with you, the fact that Taylor Moton might not be here next year, dude, that's embarrassing.
I don't think it's.
I don't know. That's not really a problem to me, actually. Like that's one of those is a problem, but that's going to be.
You're bugging. You're bugging.
No. Listen. The thing about Taylor Moton is you really couldn't have. It's no one's fault. Were you going to extend Taylor Moton last year over both Shaq Thompson and over Bradbury?
Yep.
Or both of them?
In a heartbeat.
And you were going to sign Chris McCaffrey to that same deal? I'm not sure you can. Oh, well, okay.
Absolutely not. No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Ding.
Well, that's
right.
That's
exactly.
You don't sign Chris McCaffrey to a long-term deal.
Absolutely not.
Was also, I think, a PR move because once you got rid of all your players, you got rid of Cam, Luke, TD, all those guys. You have to show little faith with a name brand dude like C-Mac. So that wasn't just paying a running back. That was also making sure fans don't go to the Patriots or the Seahawks, something like that. That was a move to make sure you retained some semblance of your fans. So that's part of it. But I'm not sure you could have done it 2 years ago. You couldn't do it 2 years ago. Last year, you would have had to not sign C-Mac most likely and let go of either get rid of Shaq Thompson and James Bradbury at the same time. And then this year, I mean, there's no point. The thing is, Taylor Moton why would Taylor Moton ever pick up the phone? He has no obligation. It would be stupid of him to ever pick up the phone when Martin Honey calls him.
And that's the point. That's the point. That's the whole point with the GM talk. That's the exact point. We have zero leverage. It's too far gone now. It's too far gone.
The thing is, though, if you wanted to sign him last year, I get you. But you have to lose out on a couple things, and especially the C-Mac deal. I don't think you can sign C-Mac and Taylor Moton to that deal he wanted.
I would not have signed C-Mac.
Rashad,
I wouldn't have signed him either. But Shell, how about this? And we're paying Bridgewater and Shaq Thompson. Listen, are Shaq Thompson and Bridgewater, have they proven to be worth the money that they gotten paid this offseason?
I would have preferred Bradbury.
No. But by the by, Taylor Moton is grading out according to a bunch of different metrics as the best right tackle in football. I don't know if people know this, but a franchise right tackle like that, it's hard to come by, man. And that's one of the most highest paid positions in football. Marty Hurney should have known this, should have gotten ahead of this, and solidified that position, especially after he traded a Pro Bowl player away for a lease contract on Russell Okung.
That's was a good move, Cody. The trade Turner for Okung was a great move.
That was a trade dump. That was a money dump. But the thing about that is, okay, I didn't want us to sign Shaq Thompson. I was cool with us not giving that money. Also, like I said before, I was cool with us going ahead with Kyle Allen this year over Teddy Bridgewater. But I would have spent the money on Bradbury easily.
Agreed.
First and foremost, I said it before last year, like in March before the draft. Even I said you have to sign James Bradbury, extend him now, because if you do not, someone else is going to pick him up and they're going to look good. Now, do the Giants look good? They look better than expected. They look pretty good right now, actually. But James Bradbury has always been, for the last 3 years, well, I guess if you count this year, it's 4 years straight of having very, very solid numbers. If I can just real quickly, just let you guys know, of the big 3 receivers in our division, the Mike Thomas, Mike Evans, and then and Julio. They've combined in the 18 games they played against us for 3 100-yard games. None of those 100-yard games have ever come in the same year, and none of those guys have ever had more than one 100-yard game.
So why did no one in our organization find value in re-signing that man?
Because the whole fan base.
Because they stupid. They stupid.
Let's not hold on. Let's not put it on the front office, because there was a ton of fans who said James Bradbury was not good and said that he was not.
Rashad.
Nope, that's not true. That's not true. Don't do that,
podcast.
This was not David. There was a lot of.
I didn't think it was worth $16 million.
That's all.
I didn't think it was worth the $16 million.
Now put it in perspective. The only GM in the National Football League that was going to give him that $16 million
was
is David Gettleman.
The guy that freaking drafted him.
Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Now I agree. We should have signed him. We should have re-signed him. Okay, just the $16 million per year.
Come on, man.
Bit rich.
Stop saying that 16. It ain't exactly $16 million per year, man. Come on, man. And you know he would have took a discount. You knew he would have took the Carolina Panther discount, man. Don't do that.
I don't think he wanted to be in Carolina anymore.
You know what?
He would have did.
I don't need it. I don't have to take it. Y'all not listening to me.
In retrospect,
y'all not listening to me, man.
In retrospect, wouldn't it
I see what it
be
said.
better for us to have just assigned Moten? Instead of Bradbury in a way. Like, I mean, we didn't get Bradbury, but we should have. My question to you guys a little bit.
We got Moten now. Give up
Chris McCaffrey's contract
and no James Bradbury. Y'all acting like we are in a much better position now with Taylor Moten. Y'all keep saying, "Oh, I'd rather sign Taylor Moten." Okay, we about to sign him.
We're not,
and we have no DB.
We're gonna tag him for sure. We don't even know we're gonna sign him yet.
If we would have signed Moten, I mean,
we're definitely not signing him. Look, when they start spreading rumors, we ain't gonna sign somebody. We're not signing them. We're not signing.
Yeah. Well, then how can we really? How many positions can you replace on that offensive line all at once?
Five.
We're doing all this talking about Moten and everything. But what if they just slap a franchise tag on them and call it a day?
Whoa, I love it.
That's what they're going to do.
That's probably what they're going to do.
That's
nothing, no insider or anything. That's just a take. I think like they're going to slap a franchise tag on them and then worry about that problem later because that's the Panthers' way.
Now you have a lease at left tackle and right tackle.
No, we don't have a lease at left tackle anymore.
The lease expires. The lease expires.
Yeah,
we get the new lease.
Even worse. So now we have a need at right tackle, right guard. Center is coming up with Paradis. Left guard and left tackle. Like that's what I'm saying. You've signed the players now so that you're not having to rebuild your entire offensive line.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about position of value, man. Like I said it like 4 or 5 times. We don't focus on the right positions. When you give it a run.
Like the thing that people fail to keep forgetting is that we pay Christian McCaffrey. You know what that means? That means Purdy ain't learned shit.
Right.
Anything.
They're overpaying running backs, bro.
Like it was D'Angelo and Stewart before, but don't get me wrong, McCaffrey. Great running back, deserves that money. You question whether or not we should have been the ones to give it to him.
We didn't even play hardball with him. He ain't have to negotiate or nothing.
My man walked into the room one day. I was like, "Hey, we about to give you 17 million a year."
And
Come pick the check up, yo.
He has a better average cap hit than Derrick Henry does.
It's just like Shell said, man. The only reason we signed McCaffrey was because in the offseason we lost Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Greg Olsen.
Absolutely.
But
everybody, you had to sign him. You really had to sign him. It's what it is. It's a cost of doing business. It's the cost.
It wasn't a
and we're gonna pay for it. And we're gonna pay for it when it comes to building the roster. That's at the end of the day. That's
all I'm gonna say is this.
I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be as bad.
All I'm gonna say is this, and that all I'm gonna say is how many wins have the Panthers had this year when Chris McCaffrey's been on that field?
And last year, and the year before.
That's right.
If you said 0, you are correct.
Mike Davis was what, undrafted or something like that?
Undrafted, but he's got 4 wins.
I think
and he's
this
just
is
bowling people over, man. It's positional value.
Right.
I think
We have
McCaffrey is
say,
transcendent. He's a transcendent talent, one. So just lumping him together with regular running backs is like trying to say like Bo Jackson was a regular running back. Like, no, he's a more diverse player than that. I don't know if the deal was as absurd as we think it is.
As we want to make it out to be.
And
it isn't.
Particularly when you go back to the
absurd.
one thing I want to make a comparison to is that when you guys bring up D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart as like him not learning his lesson, the problem was he signed 2 running backs to big deals then. That was the one problem. And on top of that, the salary cap was only $108 million at the time. So they were taking up like 25% of the salary cap. You know, it was insane. That is, I don't know if that's an apples to apples comparison of what Christian McCaffrey is allotting to our salary cap thing, right?
But my fault, Tony. Go ahead, my fault.
No, I think he's been durable. I think he, in some ways, I kind of think of him as this: is that like, would you be upset if we signed a receiver to that type of money? And if your answer is no, because like, you know, whatever it is, $13 million a year or whatever it is, $15 million a year, and you brought it, he can play. He's like a 2-player position though.
So that's cool and all, but check this out. So you're saying it's not as bad, right? But the fact of the matter is, you can go out and get you an Austin Eckler. You can go out and get any. You can go out and give any running back, whatever undrafted running back, and force feed them 30, 32 catches a game, and they'll put up the same numbers McCaffrey did.
Right.
It's a matter. It's all a matter of the amount. It's all about opportunity. It's about opportunity. Go back to last year. How many touches did this man have per game?
A lot, but if you look at opportunity, yes, is important, but you can also look at
that's all it is. That's all it is, opportunity.
If you look at it, a lot of people want to look at his touches or look at how many plays he's taken off. He was on the field 97% of the snaps. If you look at how many touches he had, he was on par with a lot of the running backs in the league. It wasn't much different, and he was still destroying.
No, we get that. But the thing is, but that's not true. Now, I play fantasy. Like, there ain't too many running backs on planet Earth that's getting 30 touches a game.
Yeah,
there isn't that many. Like, when you look at the numbers, there isn't that many. You'll name Derek, even Alvin Kamara, stud, great running back. He ain't even touching the ball 30 times a game. He just executes better what he got. So, like, when you go and look at running backs, Derrick Henry gets 30 a game. Dalvin Cook gets 30 a game. McCaffrey gets 30 a game. You think they're ready to pay Henry that type of dough? You think they're ready to
love Jonathan Stewart, man. I know we've had some great ones. Christian McCaffrey is incredible. Nothing about what he does makes him unreplaceable or worth the money that we paid him.
Except for the fact that in 2 years he's going to be more expensive because the running back value is going to be higher.
But you can find another one. Look at the Chiefs.
You can get another
just
one.
Go and find another one. Who was the running back for the Chiefs last year?
They had 3 of them.
Yeah.
What about the 49ers who was on the other side?
They had 4. They had like 5 of them.
They had like 5 of them. I wonder if 5 of them and do a carousel of carries. You get a carry. You get a carry.
Let me had a lot of solid running backs too, to be honest, man.
If we would have just let him walk in the next couple of years, I wonder how happy y'all would have been about that. He said, "Well, okay, well, look, McCaffrey's gone now. Let's go find another one." Like,
you don't let him walk,
be this happy.
You don't let him walk. That's the point.
It would have been saying.
You don't let him walk. You get something for him. You trade him while he's hot. You don't wait until last minute and let him go. If we turn around and got like a second, fourth, first round pick, the conversation changes. Because then you go get what that
year of his deal is not getting you a first round.
Let's go about it this way, right? For the first 4 years of Cam Newton's career, most people considered him a running back quarterback, right? But we didn't trade him; we signed him, and it wasn't until 2015 that he was a running back.
We signed him, right? We signed him to such a phenomenal deal. He ended up being in the bottom 15 of getting paid from a quarterback perspective
this year.
That was no period. Like he fell down the hierarchy. He fell down that hierarchy.
And Matt Stafford. Yeah,
Cam was never the highest paid.
It was very quick.
Cam was like maybe for like a year, if that.
He was never the highest paid. Never.
Was only in top
was
never like 1 year.
Yeah, he was not the highest paid quarterback, but he was up there when he signed his contract. He was up there. He wasn't bottom half of the league. I can tell you that much.
It was comparable. It wasn't never like record setting or like
exactly. It was quality, high quality quarterback in the league. But what I'm trying to make the point
he got more money for that deal after the first year he played. He took them dudes to a Super Bowl after the first year of his deal.
But let me explain the Christian McCaffrey deal. It was a 4-year extension, meaning he's still playing out his rookie contract.
Yes.
So if you look at that as an average over 6 years, he is not getting paid like you guys believe he's getting paid, right? Yes, he is getting paid a good amount of money as a top earner in the NFL. But from a cap hit perspective, he's actually getting paid less than Derrick Henry in that respect from a cap hit specifically. Derrick Henry is making $1 million more cap specifically, now salary is different than Christian McCaffrey is. So it was a great deal in that respect because we got him for 6 years, and at the end of the 2-year mark, we would have to pay more for him. Or yes, you go get another guy, but then again, you can do another Jordan Scarlett. You can have any corner. You can get a running back who's just going to be a bust. There's plenty of them out there that exist. Leonard Fournette, some might even argue.
Yeah. So just to address what you're saying. So C-Mac is making $7 million this year. Next year jumps to $12 million. Year after that, $12 million. 16. But the problem with that is though, you can't get out of that deal.
After 3 years, you can. There's a potential out with an $8 million cap hit.
With eating the cap hit. Yeah, that's not. We're so used to
Panthers and dead money are really bad right now.
We got dead money games, man. We be out here.
I think you guys got to. I want to bring up Christian McCaffrey's age. We are a very young team. Christian McCaffrey's young. DJ Moore's young. Curtis Samuel's young. Anyway, here, guys, we've been on for 2 hours now. So what I'm going to do is this: we're going to close out the Battle Royale section with kind of a series of questions, and I'm going to pose them all three to you, one person at a time, so I'll just knock them all out. We'll start with the elder statesman, Pat Coltrane. What's your biggest surprise this season? Your biggest surprise this season, your biggest disappointment this season, and do you expect the Panthers, what do you think is going to happen in the Revenge Rivera match?
Ooh.
I would say my biggest surprise is probably how well this defense is coming along. Also, I'm be honest, our wide receiving core, those are some big surprises to me. Biggest disappointment. I guess that would have to be something that I was excited about, but then let's see.
Talk about it. Go ahead and say it.
I don't want to say the obvious.
Say his name.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say Dante. I'm gonna go ahead and say that'll be my biggest disappointment, man. I feel sorry for Dante. I wanted to see more of him, and I just feel like he just kind of fell flat on his face, man. I'll say the biggest disappointment for everybody else. I'm gonna go ahead and say Dante.
All right, Pat. While you got the mic, go ahead and tell them how they can find your channel.
You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Pat Coltrane. You can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Pat Coltrane. You can follow me on Twitter @Pat Coltrane.
Word up. Check them out. All right, let's go to David. David, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, and do you expect us to be contenders in the Rivera revenge match?
Biggest surprise, Jeremy Chin.
Okay.
I knew he was going to be good. I didn't think it was going to be this good.
Right. I mean, he's a baller. He's a baller. He's a playmaker. He's a playmaker. That's what it is.
Absolutely. By far, it's Chin. Biggest disappointment for me, and I don't know if it's a full-fledged disappointment quite yet, but for me, we were in a lot of games, man. And so for me, it's, 6 games could have changed by a play or two. 6.
Or missed opportunity.
Yeah, man. Now, do I think we could have won the bowl this year? No. But because I didn't have high expectations this year, right? I had us going 4-12, right? But the thing is, it was the way that we were losing these games, man. And it was just and so I will be all hype, I'll be in it, and then all of a sudden, just like what happened prior to the bye week, I got a reminder that shit, we were 4-12. We're about to go 4-12. And that was and I kept getting this dejection on a week-to-week basis. But I think in a couple of years, man, this team's gonna turn it around. We just gotta make some adjustments. But we got a set of studs in the draft this year, so I was happy for that.
Where can they find your work? Oh, wait. Do you think we got a chance in the Rivera revenge match?
And Tony,
no.
You realize that's not next, right?
Heck,
who's next?
It's not, but it doesn't have to be.
Broncos
we
are next.
might not be back. Broncos are next.
You know, man.
Oh, the Broncos. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but if you want to talk about a Rivera revenge match, I mean, I don't see us being able to stop that pass rush, yo.
That D line, bro. That D line.
Don't kill Teddy.
Nasty, man.
Nah, man. We about to lose to a team with no name, bro.
What about Denver?
Rivera. If you guys think that Rivera liked the way it went down when he left, he gonna show you how he felt about this.
And he about to be analytical Ron, Riverboat Ron. Every name y'all was calling him, he about to do that.
He's gonna start his press conference.
He ain't gonna have no missed opportunities. I promise you that.
Oh man, he gonna kill it with that. Oh man.
All right,
man, that's gonna be dope.
Shellatron, what is your biggest surprise this season? Biggest disappointment?
My biggest surprise, I think, was Pat's biggest disappointment. I thought that Rasul Douglas and Dante surprised me a lot. If y'all know me, y'all know I people said I hated on Dante. I didn't hate on Dante. I kept it real about Dante. He was always, at best, a very inconsistent player who had really good athletic abilities, who really never really used his brain at all on defense. For the first 2 years when he was here, he could run and he could jump, but he really could not diagnose any sort of route combos. He was guarding space, guarding grass a lot. And then you saw times last year where he would go to the media and blame coaches. He would lie about reasons why he was out of position, about routes. Look at the film. You could tell very obviously that what he said and what happened on the field were completely different things. But I think this year he had a lot of maturity. He got hurt. His biggest thing was he got hurt. Hurt his little toe, and it wasn't the same. But I think that when he was on the field, he was always a net positive, kind of like Corn Elder. I mean, maybe it's Corn Elder. Maybe Corn Elder, because he was a bully. He was just a bully. Corn Elder, he was on the field. You look at him and you throw him every single play. It could be a running down. You find a way to just throw it at him. But yeah, Corn Elder was a target. And then Rasul Douglas obviously was a dog. I mean, you see Eagles player, an Eagles cornerback get cut from the Eagles. You're thinking, wait, why would you ever sign a player off the Eagles? And their secondary was worse than ours.
Horrible,
yeah. They were just dog meat last year. But Rasul came back. He came here and was a very, very, very solid player. Won't call him great. Won't call him great, but he was definitely dependable. But disappointment, biggest disappointment, I'd probably say, I gotta say it. Teddy Bridgewater. I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit. It's Teddy Bridgewater. It's Teddy. He is just good enough. He is just good enough to make you think you have a chance to win the game. He is just good enough to take you right to the shore, but you can't reach down and drink it.
He's scared,
you thirsty
man.
as hell. You are
scared.
thirsty as hell. You can't get a sip. Can I get a sip? Can I please get a sip, Teddy? Please. He won't let me do it. I tried. I got my We Won tweet just right there, primed, ready. I can just press the button. I click the button with this finger right. It's this one right here. I click the tweet button with this one right here. He don't let me do it.
If
So
Teddy Bridgewater was a murderer, Pat, he would not be a serial killer. He would not be a killer. He would just be a drunken dad or non-dad in a minivan that accidentally ran over someone. That's the only way.
That's kind of dark, but I got you.
My man always calls. He say he ain't got the serial killer in him.
Yeah, that's what he need. He needed. He don't have it.
No, he don't got it. He got a hit and run manslaughter charge on him, but not a serial killer on him. No Dexter. Rashad, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment.
So biggest surprise is probably obviously Jeremy Chin. I'll give you another one just because that's too easy. Biggest surprise for me, kind of low key. I think Zach Kerr is kind of surprising to me. I think he's playing very well. And to kind of head off and go around to my biggest disappointment. Another one that nobody's really talking about. My biggest disappointment is probably K1 Short. Even when he was out there, he was not very good. And it sucks because I like K1 Short. I think he's a Panther legend, and it's gonna suck to see him go. But I think we need to kind of get rid of that contract next year and move on. But again, I was so excited to see. Talk about expectation, right? You know, it's hard to be disappointed when you don't expect anything, but when you expect K1 Short and Derek Brown to just wreak havoc in the middle, and that wasn't the case in the first couple games. Very disappointing. And obviously the injury. He was coming off injury too, so a little bit of context there. But I'm a little bit disappointed in K1 Short, and sucks that we won't see him in a Panther uniform next year.
Does it? I actually don't think we can get rid of him next year. I think his contract still has a bunch of money on it for 2020.
We're going to have to eat that.
I don't think we can. We can. And I would say, was it any more disappointing than last year when you had him, McCoy, and Mario Addison, and you thought, man, we're going this 3-4. We're going to put Brian Burns out there, and that shit did not work either. I know it sucks. While you got the mic, tell them about your channel, and then we got to go back to Shellytron so he can get his plug in as well.
At Panther Nation Podcast on YouTube, at Panther Nation PC on Twitter. That's pretty much it, man. Hit us up.
All right, Shellytron, how can they find you?
Oh, I already spoke my piece. I put it in the chat. Y'all wasn't letting me talk my shit, so I had to go ahead and put my link in the chat, man. I understand. No, I get it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see a black man prosper getting this money.
Hey, he low key put that in the chat, man. I'm rolling over here, man.
Look, man y'all don't want to see me make my money different ways. You're talking about YouTube and Twitter. Look, there's different ways. There's different ways to make this money. So look,
man, that's why I'm over here rolling, man. Oh,
go ahead, support me in that link right there. You know where it is, man. I got different tiers. They're all over $100. If you want, this is big ballers only. Go ahead. They want to see me shine.
You guys
sound like the OnlyFans over there.
He out here with the OnlyFans.
Yeah, I know. You better grow a set of tits and start playing video games on the internet.
It's these videos of him just massaging Dante Jackson's little toe. That's all it is.
I was gonna say this is
giving the content away. Hold on, you already bought the highest tier. Hey, chill.
My bad, bro.
He got the highest tier. All right, Jason, your biggest surprise, biggest disappointment.
All right, biggest surprise would definitely be Jeremy Chin. Personally, I thought Derek Brown would be the one who'd be in contention for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So it's a nice surprise that Jeremy Chin's doing his thing, balling out, getting Defensive Rookie of the Month back to back. That's pretty doggone cool. Hope they can keep holding him for a long time. Biggest disappointment, it's kind of going back to what David said, man. You were put in a position, and this is me going back to that whole game manager thing. You're put in a position to win the game and not turn the ball over. That's why they brought you in here. And I'm talking about 5. They brought you in. You're supposed to not lose the game. That's really your only job. Just get the ball to your weapons and let the weapons take over. That didn't happen. He would end up losing the game when the defense would show up and do what they need to do. Offense just kind of fell flat at multiple times. And I mean, that's what they paid for. I'm pretty disappointed in him, considering that he's even worse than what I would perceive as a game manager. But that's just me. And I guess with the Rivera rematch, I think they're going to dog stomp the Panthers. Personally, I feel like this is the game that Rivera marked on his schedule. This is the must win, especially with the division on the line.
Yeah, people are forgetting that Washington can mess around and win a division. And you know what? They're probably going to win a division with a losing record. And I'm pretty sure
Ron is the first person to bring up 2014. We did it, man. We won. We backed into the playoffs then.
Won a game. All these losing record teams are winning games when they make the playoffs too.
The Cardinals that year?
Cardinals, against Ryan Lindley or something like that.
Yeah, I don't care who it was.
Did we lose against San Francisco? Was it the next round we lost? San Francisco. All right, I was going to say with Teddy, my surprise with him is that he's not as good as people advertised. Like, I mean, he's not even close to as good as everybody was telling me that he was. And so I can't be I didn't think he was going to be great, but I didn't think he was going to be so boring. Yeah, meh.
Boring is a great word.
Meh. He is the black Alex Smith, dude.
Alex Smith's better. Right now, Alex Smith's
Y'all are tough. Y'all are tough calling that man a
Listen, man, me and Slim J are in the chat going back and forth, man. He said they'll act like he's Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the exact comparison I've been making for Bridgewater for over a year now. That man is Jimmy Garoppolo. They put a championship defense and an incredible offense around him with one of the best play callers in the NFL, and it couldn't get done, man.
All right, Jason, how can they get up with you on the internet?
All right, you can find my work as well as my colleagues' work at si.com/NFL/Panthers. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JasonHewitt50. Shoot, that's pretty much it. Check us out, man.
All right. Look, you guys go check them out, fellas. You guys should probably roll because we got to power through some phone calls. People leave us calls all week. We got to play them. So you're more than welcome to hang out. But I've taken up so much of your time. I appreciate this camaraderie that the Panther YouTube is getting right now.
I'm taking ass kicking for you, man. My wife is gonna kick my ass.
Put in your perspective too. My wife's birthday is today, yo.
Oh,
that's man! I had Panther teacher conference today with these kids, and I went 1 for 2. My batting average isn't where I need to be.
Oh shit! You guys need to make a new tier of over $100 and put that shit on YouTube.
Y'all are making decisions like Marty Herney.
Game on lock for and everything, so we good there. But still, like
y'all are making decisions like Marty Herney. All right, guys. Well, you guys can stick around if you want. We're gonna go ahead and get to the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098.
So what are you Peace out, man. Thanks for the love, y'all.
Peace out, y'all. It's good meeting y'all, man.
Yeah, man.
Right, I'm chilling. I'm hanging with y'all. Shoot, I ain't got
cool, Jason.
What's up?
Man?
Happy to have you, man.
All right, let's go.
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, Bob, this is Kevin from South Carolina. How y'all doing tonight? Hey, I want to talk about the draft, all right? I want to talk about the draft. Cody, I know you've been wanting a white Christmas this year. You know, you want the white Christmas. You want your Zach Wilson or whatever the fuck his name is from BYU, that fucking Mormon. Let me tell you something. It ain't happening. All right? We from the South. It don't fucking snow down here. We just get cold rain. That's all we're going to get. So we're going to play our way out of the top 10. We're going to have Green Bay and the Saints sit a bunch of fucking players. And guess what? We're going to win those fucking games. We're going to win against fucking Denver. It's fucking Denver. And guess what? We're not going to get a top 10 pick. So you know what? Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna trade one of our draft picks, and we're gonna get fucking Sammy Donald. We're gonna get Sammy Donald from the fucking Jets. He's gonna fucking play out with Teddy Bridgewater in the fucking training camp. And fucking, you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna throw Teddy over that bridge into the fucking water, and that's gonna be our fucking quarterback, Sammy Donald. I'm telling you right fucking now. You want that Christmas present? Guess what?
Boy.
Santa Claus isn't real, and Zach Wilson wearing a Carolina Panthers jersey ain't gonna happen either. That's not real. You know, I don't want to fucking tell you. We're gonna fucking suck, and it's gonna be fucking awesome. Why am I doing a fucking New York Jersey accent when I'm from fucking Charleston, South Carolina? I don't fucking know.
Because you like Sam Donald.
You don't fucking know what he's
I
doing.
was just 9 picks and 5 touchdowns, dog. He threw 9 picks and 5 touchdowns, bro.
And bro, how do you look? Okay, one, you're gonna trade for him, and you're gonna have to give to pick him up. But, all right, and then you have to pay him in either a year or two. Yeah, I don't know if Sammy Darnold, is our guy.
Would you have to trade for him, or would they just release him?
No, they would find some kind of trade, just like Arizona did with Josh Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
They would find something. Someone will find some kind of value in Sam Darnold. It just will not be the Jets.
Okay. All right. Next call.
Hey guys, what's up? It's AJ from 704. You already know. And Panthers, I want to start off with saying I don't know if firing our GM is going to be the answer or not to what we need, but I do agree with what you guys are saying about we're missing a couple key positions that can make us definitely a contender. I haven't heard much about a tight end. I thought I saw a stat a couple of weeks ago that we only have like 10 catches in our tight end core, and I know Joe Brady used Thaddeus Moss a lot at LSU. So I'm hearing what you guys think about that. Maybe that could be our missing part of our offense in the red zone. That could be our missing spot. I also agree that I think Teddy needs to be out of there for sure. Definitely needs to be out of there. I'm on the Zach Wilson train for sure. But there's one but, man. That cornerback from Alabama looks damn good. And I swear if he drops to us, we got to pick him. We got to pick him, and we'll have another year of purgatory with Teddy. I mean, it'll be worth it, man. Love what you guys are doing. Love listening to the podcast. Keep pounding, baby.
I'm going to let you guys handle that call.
Cool. You want to go first? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, man. So listen, I haven't done a deep dive on all the film yet. I normally wait until after the college season before I really dive into all the positions. So I've actually known about Surtain for a while. His commitment was between Alabama and LSU. So I've known about him for a while. I know he's legit. He is a shutdown corner. And yeah, listen, depending on what our quarterback situation looks like, which we know it's either going to be Teddy Bridgewater or drafting a player, it does suck because there are so many good players that are going to be available in that top 10 pick. Micah Parsons would be incredible for us at the linebacker position going forward. Penei Sewell, we've already mentioned and talked about a little bit. Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech is another name that people are mentioning a lot. So there's a lot that goes into it, man. But yeah, I mean, listen, y'all saw Zach Wilson. His season's not over. Him and Trey Lance are going to have to answer the same questions. They're one-year wonders, and they play lesser competition. But all the other stuff is there. The arm talent, the ability to move the pocket, the ability to roll out. They could run play-action pass, RPO. They're willing to put their shoulder down and fight for extra yardage. Like, they both have dog inside them. And that's what we don't have at the quarterback position right now.
That's fair enough. But at the same time, what if they don't fall through? Then what? You're stuck with a quarterback, and you don't have any other pieces to really answer for that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I think you got to be 100% sold on the quarterback. I don't think you feel like I think at the end of the day, you got to say this is you can't base draft on need, right? I mean, in some ways, it's where need and best player coalesce, right? That's where when they overlap. Obviously, if you're a team and you've got your answer at left tackle, if the best player available is there as a left tackle, that might not be the wisest decision if you need something else and there's a really great player there. So I don't like there are times where you're like, I do think there's a valid point. What Cody's saying is that you're not in the top 7, 8 often, or you don't want to be, right? So the opportunity is not always there. If the opportunity is there, you should pounce on it. You should jump on it. But you should not reach, and you should also not do it because you think you got to do it. I think you got to do it because you believe that guy is the right guy. My examples would be Arizona with Josh Rosen, the Jets with Darnold. A lot of these guys, I felt like they felt obligated to make those selections. And I'm saying this is that I think Trevor Lawrence is the clearest to me. Is I've never seen a more sensational college quarterback. And I'm young though, so I don't know. Is like what would we have said about Peyton Manning when he was in college? You know, there's some guys that have been really good. Cam was kind of a tweener, right? And what I mean by that is that we knew he was a great football player. But the question was he going to be a great quarterback? Is that they told us Andrew Luck was the best prospect that had come out in like 30 years or some shit like that. Trevor Lawrence fits that. I think that I don't know if anybody outside of Justin Fields does. And now if you do think it's Zach Wilson, I think you go for it if you can. Why are all these quarterback prospects look like girls, by the way? Have you noticed that? Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson both look like women.
Dude, what? Just because because they're blonde?
I don't know. But here is that my friend gave me shit. My friend, I go on Pirate Radio. Well, first of all, Trevor Lawrence looks like the kid from Dazed and Confused, the kid that always grabbed his nose and did this. I was telling my friend, I sent my friend a tweet, and I said, man, Zach Lawrence looks like he could be Mindy's brother, which Mindy is his wife. And I go on the radio, I'm hanging out with my other boy, and he knows all of these cats, and he said, you always say some problematic shit, Tony. I was saying something on the radio. He's like, problematic, man. Y'all problematic. Oh, because and I'll tell you this off the radio. I said it on the air, but he said, I said, what were you talking about? He said, you said that
on the radio, but you won't say it here. How bad
I said that LeVar Burton, who's the guy, the Reading Rainbow guy?
Yeah, LeVar Burton.
I said his doppelganger was the dude from Walker, Texas Ranger, who was in Die Hard. I said, I always thought that was LeVar Burton in Die Hard. And I always thought it was crazy when he killed, when the Reading Rainbow guy murdered this dude right in the beginning. I was like, man, this shit is fucked up. And I didn't say that. And he said, and my friend said, you're dangerously close to saying all black people look the same. That's what he said to me. And that was what, and I was like, no, these guys look alike. They share, but whatever. So I was like, what are you talking about off the air? He said, you said that Mindy looked like Zach Wilson. I was like, I did not say that. Anyway.
What, your comparison, you said Trevor Lawrence looks like a girl. You said Zach Wilson looks like a tool. Yeah, man, like, your first impression of these guys is not great. I don't know what it is.
Not intimidated.
Hey, I look at it like this, man. You talk about they looks all they want. They getting the baddest women possible. It really don't matter at the end of the day.
Or the baddest dudes. You don't know. You don't know.
But the highest. Very true. You know, sexuality is a spectrum and all that. But I mean, let's just keep it a buck. They're definitely posting very attractive people or keeping it on the low.
They're posting attractive numbers. How about that? But all right. So my point is back to Zach Wiltz, this and that, and we went to cornerback position. Is I don't know if we feel the same confidence in that second tier of quarterbacks as we do with those top three.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I do think a lockdown corner would be a great addition. What are your thoughts on this guy from Alabama?
Surtain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Jason comment on him? I don't know. I was going to.
Oh.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Have you seen Surtain yet?
Oh, well, absolutely. I'm a Georgia fan, so I watch a lot of SEC football. I think he is the best corner in the draft, and if he's available, you take him, especially with the whole situation with Dante Jackson. You got to take him. A lockdown corner can change your defense, man. I'm telling you. If half the field is shut down, you know how easy Phil Snow's job is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is he better than
all
Okudah?
You really have to worry about is the run, which has been a problem,
Okudah?
sure. But go ahead.
Is he better than Okudah? Okudah, whatever his name is. From
I haven't watched a lot of Lions other than,
So I cannot yet give an informed opinion on that.
Okay.
When I have one,
we don't know yet. But
I'd be interested because it's one of those things.
Corners that I've ever scouted just from college.
Yeah.
So I don't know if his film is going to compare. I think he hasn't done much this year, at all. But they just fired their coaching staff, man. Another thing I want to mention real quick: so much of a player's success, no matter what position you're talking about, is what kind of situation they're drafted into. It's not a surprise that Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen and Mitch Trubisky, which kind of sucks, but whatever, they go to places that don't fit their talent. So Jeffrey Okudah isn't doing shit this year that matches up to the film that he had at Ohio State. But you look at the coaching staff and that football team, and yeah, it's easy to see why players can fail if they go to the wrong spot.
Okay. All right, next call.
I was just wondering, talking about the quarterback situation and how the Carolina Panthers should move forward with their season and how the other games will pan out. And I wanted to go and just talk about football, really, about how the Carolina Panthers are going to go through this situation in this season over what's going on with all the losses we're having. Thank you.
All right, so quarterback situation is that's kind of been the discussion of focus for in a sense, is like it's always the discussion until it's not. Right? Is that Cody has often said you get your quarterback in and everything else falls in place, right? And he's not the only person that believes that type of mentality. And what I mean by is the quarterback discussion is the discussion until it's not. Is that until we have a guy that we believe is unquestionably the answer, we will always be fretting over the quarterback. Is that even when we had the guy with Cam Newton, there was a contingent, and I believe they were like subconsciously maybe racist, right? I'm not going to say that every person that hated Cam was hated him because he was black, but I do think that was an influential factor into why they argued. They would say, well, he's not the you hear words like prototypical quarterback. You hear these soft kind of innate, systematic racist comments, which is, and that is, great athlete, but we're not sure he knows the game as well, right? These types of things is that even when we had a guy on this podcast who is unquestionably my favorite player outside of Julius Peppers, right? Cam Newton is the guy I always said that he is what this podcast has been about until he's not. And I mean, it's taken a long time for him not to be the only focus of this podcast in so many ways. But there was even a group when you had that guy that was like, well, Derek Anderson, we could have gotten like 2 wins with Derek Anderson. Like, and you're like, no, that motherfucker sucked, dude. Then Kyle Allen comes in and wins 5 games to start, and they're like, well, we don't even have to re-sign Cam. We can just roll with Kyle Allen. And you're like, no, we will be talking about the quarterback until we're not. And right now, we are talking about Teddy Bridgewater. We're talking about these potential draft picks. So obviously the answer is not there. The question is, when will we no longer talk about it? And even if we draft a guy, if we draft Zach Wilson, if we draft Trey Lance, if we draft Brad, who's Brad Dugan, like the guy from Florida, Trask.
Kyle Trask?
Yeah. If we draft any one of those guys will still not be the answer until they've proven themselves. There's only one player, 2 players. It would be Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. The only way that we would end this conversation for a moment.
And it's possible we might even land Justin. It just depends on how things go, man. I mean, crazier things have happened, man. Mitch Trubisky was drafted ahead of Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. So, who knows?
Another example of why you don't reach for players you don't have any film on, too.
That is awesome.
Mitch Trubisky played 9 games, dude. He played 9 games in college. And you know what? He had all the right scout stats. He had the right build. He had the right talk. He had the right look. My friend always says that Mitch Trubisky, well, he didn't say this about Mitch Trubisky, he used to say it about Blake Bortles, is these guys look good in a football uniform. But that don't mean they are good. All right, next call.
Yo, guys, it's Nick from up here in Mass.
What's up, Nick?
So, just to let you know, I'm not going to be holding back at all, okay? And there's probably going to be some swears in here. So if there's any kids watching, now's the time to block your ears for the next 3 minutes. Okay?
Earmuffs.
Teddy Bridgewater is not the fucking answer. Okay? Now, Teddy had a point. He could have ran it. And you know what? If I was in his position, depending on how much time was left on the clock on that throw to DJ, if I remember correctly, we were pretty damn close to the 2-minute mark. Okay? And we were on the 3-yard line. You run that ball, what's the worst that happens? As long as you can make it to the line of scrimmage and you don't get past that, A, you're running down the clock, okay, which helps us out in the long run. And B, even if we get the stop there on 3rd and 4th down and we run both, they get the ball on the 3, the 2, the 1-yard line. And all the defense has to do is show up and fucking play. And fucking make it a safety. Now, defense was tired at the end of the game. They were on the field a lot. Understandable, but A, Teddy should have taken the blame for that. Okay? And there should have been he shouldn't have even hesitated. He should have just taken the blame and let that be fucking net. But instead he wanted to dick around and try to pass the blame off to the coaches and fucking DJ and everybody else. And you know what that tells me? That tells me the dude doesn't have a fucking arm. He has no confidence. Joey, the blind Panther man, I mean, no disrespect by this, but that's like having Joey be your taxi driver. Okay? That shit just doesn't fucking work. He might get lucky. He might get you to where he needs to go once in a while. But he's probably going to crash and burn along the way at least once. Like I said, Joey, no disrespect. Okay? The other thing is, okay, last year, we had our bye week, I think it was week 6. Okay, we went into the bye 4-2. Okay, we were on fire. Defense had their nickname, the Jabbers. I think that's what it was. Okay? And then we came back from the bye, and we fell on our face. Hard. Do you guys think that that's going to happen again this year? Okay, I mean, granted, we have 3 games left in the season, and if We lose them all. We get a better draft pick. There's my 3 minutes.
I would say we don't really have a lot of evidence of how this team's going to respond after a bye week. I would say that the coaching staff looks more prepared. They've been more advantageous to us than Ron Rivera's staff was, right? I think they've been more of a difference maker in getting this team ready. We have looked more prepared than we did. Ron Rivera did the same thing. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play our game. You guys got to beat us. And they never changed. They never changed anything. And I think this coaching staff has a way of I think they're good at preparing. So I don't think we'll necessarily be just handicapped coming out of the bye. Ron Rivera was terrible after the bye throughout his career and tenure. I think the COVID thing is going to screw this up. Guys, your thoughts on the Panthers' remainder of the year coming off this bye?
So I'm kind of at the point where, you were talking a little bit about the difference of Rivera and Rule. One of the things that I do like, and it's one of the reasons why I said when the rest of the guys were on here, that I'm not judging this opening season, this first year of Matt Rule, Joe Brady, Phil Snow. I'm grading them on a curve. Because, one, they're learning on the fly. And number two, I'm already seeing so many things that I like that I just could not stand about Ron Rivera. And listen, all I have to do is say Brian Burns and Gunner, and you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like his inability to want to put younger players on the football field in favor of these tired old veterans. I felt like that was really a detriment to us, and it was a detriment to a lot of the players on our football team, like Curtis Samuel, like Ian Thomas, Brian Burns. Listen, Tony remembers this. Cameron Artis-Payne never got a chance in Ron Rivera's offense. And when you look at Matt Rule and how many young players are playing for us, now you might be able to say, oh, well, we have no other choice. They're kind of forced to step into that starter job. But, I mean, listen, credit where credit is due. We have a lot of young players, and Matt Rule is not afraid to throw them in the fire and let them learn on the job. And I'm of the mindset that that's the best way to do it. Let them learn what to do and not to do while playing football. That's how you get better.
CK, what do you think the challenges for this team are coming off this bye? I mean, you got a soft opponent in Denver who's really just kind of – they've had their own share of COVID problems throughout the year, and they just haven't been that good. And at times, they've played a little bit better than we expected them to. What do you think about us dealing with all of these injuries or whatever? How do you see it panning out against Denver? And is it on the road or are we at home?
I think it's home. Or no,
they are. Wait, this week?
Yeah,
it's at home.
This week they're at home.
Yeah, this is home because all of our home opponents outside of division have been the easy ones. All of the road have been the ones that are the toughest in my opinion. But no, yeah, I think coming off of a bye week like this, there's I guess obviously infinite things that you can expect, but these guys have had a lot of time to dwell on the fact that we have been within inches, of being where we need to go, right? And that can cause them to either think just we're not getting there and just let it get them down. But I think based on the way this coaching staff has been working, I think that these guys are going to come out here with a bit of a fire underneath them, assuming we're going to have these guys back. If we don't have these guys back, I'm sorry. If we don't have Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, as bad as Shaq Thompson is, he's better than our backups. I'll put that out there. As bad as, not having Derek Brown to shore up the middle. I mean, we would be out both of our starting tackles. That's not a recipe for success. We're not going to stand a chance, even though it's a bad Denver Broncos team. We need those players out there. If they're not out there, it's not going to be good.
Jason. By the way, a random Bat Daddy has popped into the show.
What's up, my guy? I missed you, man. What's up, bro?
I say, damn, Panther fans, y'all been up for a minute, ain't you? I did 2 podcasts. The time y'all.
Grinding. Okay.
This is like our normal. By the way, we have not gone any longer than we normally do.
I agree. And I looked at that and I was like, you know what? I bet they're still on. I was like, let me see.
You were right.
So,
Yeah, man.
glad to be here, man.
Awesome. We're in the final stages of pounding through the calls. Jason, my question for kind of a follow-up question to the caller. Who's more motivated off of the bye this week, Teddy Bridgewater or Joe Brady?
I'd say Joe Brady, because Joe Brady has probably more on the line. Because like I said earlier, I feel like Teddy 5 has been very, very complacent and very chill, because what does he really have to lose, man? You're already paid, bro. You already got the contract that you've been grinding for, backing up Drew Brees. You made it to the promised land, bro. So I feel like, and based on
his manhood, he could lose his manhood by looking like a schlub.
He don't.
Look at it like this, man. Just expect more of the same. I'm not. Oh,
okay.
Lord.
Yeah, I actually thought that I truly thought after the Teddy came back off of his injury and PJ kind of injected a little life into the offense, I thought that Teddy was going to take more risks downfield because he felt the young buck creeping on his heels a little bit.
He's paid.
Yeah.
Even if he did take a spot, whatever, bro.
Exactly.
You got
paid.
it. That's how I feel like he would respond. I feel like if someone took his spot and he was interviewed, he'd be like, oh, I think he'll be like the team player. He'll be like, oh, I hope he does well. I mean, which is what happened when PJ Walker got his chance.
But he was not jumping up and down celebrating him when he was doing well on the field. He was not doing what Cam did. Cam went out there and Jason Stidham had a good comes in after they're blowing him out and they sit Cam. Cam goes out there and is jumping up and he's going and celebrating with those mugs. Is that Teddy looked miserable when we were doing well in that game.
Yeah, because Cam Newton is a legitimate franchise leader quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is not. It's really that simple.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to be afraid.
Show the perfect time. I love it.
You don't have to be afraid when you know you're the guy.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Next call.
So it's Nick again. CK, I wanted to point out something that you said in the post-game show. Okay, and I think you are 100% right. Teddy is absolutely a danger to all the weapons on our team. Okay, he has thrown terrible throws into very, very, very bad or very good coverage. Okay, and he's trying to get people hurt. He might not be trying on purpose, but he's going to get people hurt. It is going to happen. I mean, we saw it with DJ. That was just a shitty throw.
What I was talking about here in a second.
20 or 10, not even 10 yards. That's a throw that any of us can make. There was a wide open pass. It was simple fucking catch ball. Come on, man. Teddy, sit your ass down. You're fucking done, man. You're done. Okay? You don't have the locker room. You never will at this point. You sat behind Drew Brees for a fucking goddamn reason. And, hey, let's also bring up the fact that both of them got injured the same week. I mean, yeah, it's a coincidence, but something to be said right there. Okay? Teddy doesn't have the deep ball. Teddy doesn't know how to do jack shit other than pass the ball off so that way he has no accountability. You know what? I'm sick and tired of this whole Teddy Bridgewater thing. We need to start PJ. We need to give him a couple more games just so that way we know what we got. And then next year we know if he's going to be the backup, if he's going to be the starter, if we need to trade him. And I mean, Will Greer is going to be gone. Nobody's come out and said it, but it's just a matter of fact that we aren't going to carry 3 quarterbacks and possibly pick up another one in the draft, which I think we should. Okay? Quite honestly, I'd be okay with either trading Teddy, even though nobody's going to want him, or getting rid of Teddy. Maybe make PJ make PJ the starter for next year, and then have Teddy be the backup, and then pick up a quarterback in the draft, so that way he can learn behind not only PJ Walker, a very good quarterback as far as what we've seen in the XFL, and he can learn behind Teddy, which, I mean, I don't think I would want anybody learning behind Teddy. Not a single damn person. You know?
Those who cannot do,
sorry
teach.
for ranting, guys. Fuck
That's
Teddy.
true, too.
Play
That is
DJ,
very true.
cut Greer, and in the draft, get at least one or two tight ends.
Have you noticed that the best players and the best people, like at whatever position, rarely make good teachers, though?
Yeah, it's. I think there's a pride issue involved with that, more so than anything. I mean, I'm good at what I do, but when I try to explain it to people, I am not good at it. Like it's just not a good. I'm not good at explaining it. I'm great at doing it, but not great at explaining it. Tony, that phone call was about the post-game show where I was talking about how Teddy Bridgewater, those guys into injuries, and Jason, what that was referring to is I made a comment about, everybody wants to point out those great deep balls that Teddy Bridgewater throws, but I can probably tell you about 95% of those deep balls have been underthrown or are in a position where the wide receivers have to make such an acrobatic catch that it makes a highlight reel. And the problem is so, for instance, some of those deep balls to DJ has had to stop and catch the ball. That is a recipe for getting rocked by a safety or a cornerback just beaming down the field ready to hit you. That is it. If you get that in stride, guess what? He's going. He's in a position, obviously, unless somebody comes and spears him running the opposite direction. But that's you're asking to hurt your receivers. And then we saw it last time because, again, DJ Moore had to try to make a contorted catch to catch the ball because it was so far behind him. Yes, I think that right now, I don't think he's trying to get anybody hurt. I just don't think he's capable of putting the ball where it needs to be. And there's evidence of it. There's been plenty of evidence of it. And the fact that they're still only throwing the ball 10 yards. I will say this much. I think we saw what happens when you put a non-quarterback in when the Denver Broncos had to have a wide receiver play their quarterback. I don't think anybody can throw the ball 10 yards because we just saw what happens when that happens. But nonetheless, the point is Teddy Bridgewater is doing as well as any backup in the NFL could be doing right now.
Now on the head.
Harsh words.
You're muted.
Who's muted?
That's the bad thing about it right there. Thank you very much, Jason, that we paid $63 million for a guy who is going to give us backup performance. That is what is so sad. And Cody, you were involved in a chat that I had yesterday all day long.
Yeah,
I'm talking with this guy who is making somewhat valid points about the that last throw with Teddy Bridgewater where he missed DJ Moore. But I'm sorry. There is nothing you can tell me. I have every angle you can look at. There is nothing you can tell me that says that is not Teddy Bridgewater's fault. He has DJ Moore at a few different spots, sweet spots, wide open. DJ Moore is 10 yards away from the nearest defender.
Well, and by the way,
even
if DJ Moore did overrun that route, Teddy Bridgewater had time to acknowledge it.
Right.
And throw it to the correct area of the field. And then listen, whatever happened. But how he acted after the game and not taking any responsibility, and that's what really put people over the edge.
And I don't need people to bow down. I don't need people to bow down to me, right? It's not for me that I needed him to say this. Is that it's just because it's the right thing to do.
Right. Thank you.
Is that and the idea is kind of like, and I've always said this about Ron Rivera, is that he changed after the Super Bowl. He changed. He went from being a guy that said it's always on me, we've got to do a better job, it starts here, to saying players aren't got to do their part. They got it, and it's these small things, and it's just an unnecessary throw under the bus. Is Teddy Bridgewater, even if DJ was supposed to sit down on the right route or whatever, which he wasn't because Teddy didn't want to throw it anyway, and he wanted to check to a run anyway. So it's just like I said with Tom Brady, just say I made a mistake, homie. Americans are I think Americans, maybe just humans, we're very understanding of people who are just honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is a big thing. Yes, I agree.
I say it like this, man. This ain't even a football thing. Let's with that whole reaction. Let's say I posted an article that was like some misinformation, right? And like my editor just straight up missed it and it's published and is out there. What if the first thing I did was tweet out, "Oh, my editor didn't catch this, so that's why the piece is out." That is exactly what he did, and that was my biggest problem. That's not a football thing. That's a character thing, dog.
I am watching this show Manhunt or whatever. It's about Eric Root, the Unabomber, and this guy. His name is Dave. I think it's David Jewell. It was these reporters. His name was leaked as a potential suspect when they bombed the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. And this guy's life was fucking ruined. And even when everybody knew it was wrong, there was this one reporter was like, "I didn't do nothing wrong. I follow." And it was just like, come on, man. Yeah. All right, next call.
Anyone want to hear a dead baby joke? How about a cripple joke?
Oh, guys.
Nah, guys, that was honestly the best way to end the podcast. I was at work on Monday, and I was listening to it, and I had to walk out of the room because I was laughing so hard. My foreman came up to me, he's like, "Dude, are you okay?" I'm like, "If you could only listen to this podcast, you would understand." And I played it, and dude, he died laughing too. So, guys, thank you for a very good laugh. Hope you guys stay safe. Thank you for everything.
Oh, yeah, don't forget, if you want to make a dead baby float, 2 scoops ice cream, 1 scoop dead baby. Next call.
C3, what's good? What's good?
What's that?
Jason's probably like, "What the fuck are y'all talking?"
Y'all will let me. I'm sure y'all will fill me in, man.
We finished last week's podcast with dead baby jokes and crippled jokes.
We were doing dad jokes, or not dad jokes, dead baby jokes. Yeah.
Cody can make cripple jokes because he calls himself a cripple. I said, I told my wife, and I think it all started with this, is because I called Cody a cranky cripple to my wife, and she was like. And he was remarkably cranky about something. It was a football thing too.
That always on Twitter.
And so the best, that's what it was. It was the Twitter thing. And so I said, "He is a cranky cripple," and she goes, "Do you say that to his face?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, the joke is equally bad to his face or behind his back, Miranda. So like, let's." All right.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't tell cripple jokes.
Right.
No, I would think it would be worse if I didn't say it to your face. If I said it behind your back, it would be worse.
100%. And yes, and I told the funniest cripple joke in the world on the end of that podcast.
So go back.
By the way, those are my favorite calls that we ever receive, are the people that call us and just tell us, "Dude, you have no idea how much you put a smile on my fucking face." Like, that's why I do this.
That's cool.
I almost made a joke when you said we can chew bubble gum and walk.
Oh, yeah.
All right, next call.
Do it. Next time, do better.
C3, what's good? What's good? It's Blake B. Check it out. I have a hot take for you. I say it again. I got a hot take for you.
All right, let's see.
And I hope this doesn't change within this next week, even though we have a bye week. But check it out. So David Tepper, you know what he says. He's talking about building a culture here, building sustained excellence, which has been our problem here in Carolina, just mediocrity after mediocrity. Tepper says he wants to build this and have sustained excellence for 10 plus years, whatever. I mean, look at this giga complex he's put in. Look at, it's going to be 10 times nicer than the stadium we have now, even though it's 25, 26 years old. But speaking of something just a little bit older than 25, 26 years old, you've seen David Tepper break the mold with Matt Rule, with the money he's paid him. If he is serious and Joe Brady is the savant we think he is, you're going to have to pay the man close to head coach money to get him to stay here more than 2 or 3 years.
Oh, it's about glory more so than money for some of those guys.
I don't know if this has been talked about or discussed. I was just driving home listening to the Pat Coltrane pile up with Rashad and Cody. And Pat Coltrane, the man. Let me shout out to Pat Coltrane. And I started to like Rashad a little bit more because he's not blind for Teddy, so that's good. I mean, I'm trying to give it a chance, so I'm indulging in this culture. But I mean, what do you think about the Joe Brady scenario, paying him bigger money? I mean, that doesn't fall under the salary cap, I'm pretty sure, with coaches. I'm pretty sure they can pay them whatever they want. I know David Tepper pissed off a lot of people when he paid Matt Rule that money, but I mean, just think about it. I mean, if he is serious and he's the savant we say he is, and doesn't fall under the salary cap, pay him big money. Pay him close to head coach money if he's that good. I want to see him for another year with what we've had with Teddy. I mean, a lot of this it's not all Teddy, because Joe Brady does call out these plays with a dink and dunk, but I mean, that could be the quarterback we're working with. So I'd like to see him another year, see if there's any change. Tell me what you think.
CK, we'll start with you.
I just don't think that money is the reason that offensive coordinators are going to stick around, right? I mean, the reality is, if he has an opportunity to be a head coach, that is a much longer lasting legacy. I can tell you this much: the Super Bowl winning teams in 20 years, they're not talking about their offensive coordinators, they're talking about their head coach. You know, you're not talking about the offensive coordinator of all the Bill Belichick led offenses that went to the Super Bowl and won, right? It's Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time because he went there. And I think that that's what the glory is. I think if Joe Brady has an opportunity to go head coach in a good situation, I think he's going to take it, you know, regardless of what we offer him as far as money. Unless we're just saying, hey, listen, we're going to do what we did to what Patriots did to Josh McDaniels, and tell him you are going to be the head coach of this organization when Belichick retires, essentially, then go from there. But other than that, I mean, there's no way that Joe Brady doesn't.
What
leave.
new coach gets a good situation, though?
Oh, there's a few of them. I would say this year there's a few good situations opening up.
Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Wait,
yeah.
who?
Right.
Cleveland.
Oh my God! You cannot
Dude,
say
they're
that.
good. They're like 8-3 or 9-3.
Yes,
or something.
yes, they are good, but they have, and they had some talent. A decent amount of talent.
They had every piece but the coach. Let's keep it above.
Oh,
but they also had DNA, like a deformed. They have like Crohn's disease. They have like a DNA problem that they cannot overcome. And
So
actually, I think Stefanski right now is coach of the year.
Yeah.
CK, can I ask you real quick what you were talking with the comment you made there about offensive coordinators not making the difference or not being known, and you brought up New England. Can you name New England's offensive coordinator?
I can now because he's been in the news, obviously. With
well, you can. I would say you'd probably be able to name him for the last 5 years.
It's the same person.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not like the offensive coordinator for a good team goes unnoticed.
What I'm talking about is in 10, 20, 30 years, you're not remembering those offensive coordinators as that Super Bowl winning team.
I get you. Okay.
You're remembering the coach.
You're right. In 30 years, yes, you're right. But
I don't know if
5 to 10 years away from now, you're definitely know Josh McDaniels' name.
But even more to that point, if the Falcons would have won that Super Bowl, from now until the end of time, people would have had to have given credit to Kyle Shanahan.
I think I think you're being generous to that. I don't think that's reality.
Dude, look at Josh McDaniels. Look at Kyle Shanahan. Like these offensive coordinators.
I think those are for football heads, though. I think that's a football head talk. I don't think it's like.
You may be right. Yeah, you may be right.
It's like
about that.
celebrity status. You know what I'm saying? They're not celebrities. Like you don't walk past Kyle Shanahan before he's a head coach,
like,
or even now, to be honest, and know who the hell he is.
Yeah.
Like, let me ask you this. Do you know what was the offensive coordinator when? And this might be actually pretty easy depending upon who it is, but who Peyton Manning when he won the Super Bowl with the Colts?
Wasn't it fucking? Was it Adam Gase or was it?
No, that was with Denver. That was when he was in Denver.
The one I was thinking of is it might be Bruce Arians. I can't remember if it was.
Oh no, I think he had. Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good point. I couldn't think of it.
I think here,
and that was
here's the one counterpoint to your point, right? And that is I think if somebody offers you a head coach job, is that if you have I don't even care if it's a shitty situation, is that it's never really usually a bad idea to take a vertical move career-wise, right? You put it on your resume, you this and that. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to become an offensive coordinator again. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. I do think the one thing with the money that could sway someone is you say, look, we're going to give you a 4-year contract with money that is pretty comparable, right? And you will finish out this contract. Like, I mean, maybe you can get them on longevity that way. And you say, look, collectively you're guaranteed to make the same amount of money. In the worst case scenario, you could be fired in 2 years. But I guess they still get paid, right? The coaches still get paid. They still get their contract.
Right.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to not leave and get a head coaching job. That would be, you would never, it would be ridiculous for you to not take a promotion in your own job unless for some reason the place you were at was just so conveniently attractive and comfortable,
like the Patriots were
to
Josh McDaniels prior to this.
I want to add this though. That kind of leads to my argument that I think that we're going to draft a quarterback, and part of that is because of Joe Brady. If we want him to stay with us rather than take a job either with the Chargers or the Jets or whoever, whatever team you want to pick, right? If we can offer him, one, good money, number two, a good situation with a good young quarterback, and he's under Matt Rule, like, I think it offers him a nice buffer to continue to build his own resume and then get a job when he's 33 or 34 and still one of the youngest coaches in the NFL. Like, I just want to make sure the Panther fans are on the same page. We don't want Joe Brady to go anywhere.
Correct.
Yeah. We want him to be, he is talented. He is worth what we paid him.
I don't think he's ready either. I don't think he's ready. I don't care about how much potential this and that is, that it was already a gamble to a certain, I think my biggest, I won't say biggest surprise, but when we did our biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, the thing I'm most pleased with out of this team so far is how competent they've looked at every level. And that is, it could have been a disaster.
A shit show.
Disaster.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah,
you bring in guys
You're
that
absolutely right.
they don't understand how to deal with personnel in the NFL. They don't, you know what I'm saying? You get a guy who was on a team that had the best talent in the world in LSU, who was really a passing. He didn't have all the responsibility, but he got all the praise.
Right.
Like,
That's exactly. What
it's
I was
like he came
well.
in. There was a lot of unknowns coming in, and then you add into this is that we don't even have a regular year. These mugs are practicing on Zoom today.
Well,
like that
everybody is though. Like
I know everybody is,
so,
but
I
at
mean,
least they've been in the NFL before.
Is.
What I'm just saying is they've been in the NFL. I think this is, my father-in-law always says, and it makes it. I believe it's true. You're not really good at your job for until you've done it for 5 years. It's kind of like the 10,000 hour rule. It's like where you felt like you've been there before, where something
unless your name is Patrick
up,
Mahomes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And but
So
I mean that's a player,
man.
and that's a player, and he's been playing football the whole time. I think there's some soft skills that translate from different echelons of work. Like if you go and you're teaching, I teach at a community college. If all of a sudden I was teaching at Harvard and I had all the, like all the expectations, the prestige, the this and that, I think I'm most surprised with how competent we've looked with very little talent. Even with that said, Joe Brady he's only been, it's been what, 12 games, 11 games in the NFL, and we don't even know if he's an offensive genius yet. We know he knows football. We know he knows football, but we don't know if he's a savant.
We know that he has learned from Sean Payton, and I think you see a lot of Sean Payton in what he's doing. But I do also think that you've got to look at it from that perspective too. I think, one of the things that leads to Cody's, I guess, point is I honestly believe this organization knows Teddy Bridgewater isn't going to be the quarterback after 3 years, right? Otherwise, they would have did a 5-year.
I think
right?
they're worrying about him right now, to be honest.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. If they don't draft a quarterback this upcoming year and they keep Teddy Bridgewater, I think we can all assume, at least maybe just with Panthers beer goggles on, that we're going to be a better team than we are this year, next year, right? Drafting free agent. Hold on. No, not this year. We thought we were a worse team than last year. We thought we were worse. Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, by far.
Yeah, I really believe we thought we were worse this year based on what we lost. We lost Bradbury, Luke, all these key pieces that just went everywhere else, right? But
I don't think I think our record hasn't been as good as it was last year just yet, but I think we look better.
But here's the thing. Let's say we do get Teddy Bridgewater, another year, and then we draft a quarterback in, not this upcoming draft, but the draft after that. Well, guess what? It's very possible, one, either Joe Brady's gone after next year. I don't think it's this year. If he has a good year with Teddy Bridgewater again with a better team and we have a better record than we have now, then I think he could be gone after year 2, right? But even if he has 3 years with us, well, that means you're literally getting a quarterback to learn the system for 1 year and that's it. So where I think that this organization would rather have that quarterback learn this offense over a 2-year span, especially if they're going to be playing what Sean Payton does, which most people they were talking about it. I think some people had said that this is a simplified version of what the Saints run, but the reason that the Saints don't draft quarterbacks very often is because it is a very hard system to learn, and that's why I thought it was very odd that they let go of Bridgewater.
But they've also had one of the best players in football.
Exactly. But they knew that this was coming to a close.
Oh, by the way, hold on. No, I hate to interrupt you, but you just reminded me. How about Taysom Hill, y'all? Is no one going to give me a little bit of fucking credit on that?
What? That is trash?
Well, he's not a good quarterback. What do you want me to give credit for? He's not a good quarterback.
He got better than he was before.
He had what?
He gotten better and better.
Oh, he fucking
the quarterback / tight end.
Yeah, he's not a good quarterback.
Who did he face? I can't remember.
Bro.
Who was his
If
team?
you're going to try to defend Taysom Hill, it sounds
Denver.
like
He played Denver.
This man was throwing frozen ropes on 3rd and 17 and was converting on 3rd down.
Two?
Look,
Two?
don't hate on it
Two?
all you want, but I promise
you lost all credibility. When you said that he was going to be great.
Cody,
and B,
Cody.
he said that
Teddy Bridgewater did the same thing.
Yeah,
Teddy
Bridgewater's done it at least once, exactly. So temper your expectations there. Yeah,
bro,
Dude,
I'm telling you,
they will only put
his number. If y'all look at the stat line from the
Atlanta Falcons defense, garbage.
None of y'all, but y'all gonna find all this bullshit.
He was 27 for 37.
Terrible against Atlanta's defense too. So I can't.
How many yards of what is his average yards per game in the air?
He sucks, bro.
He's far more mobile. And
you're talking about 50% of people that can throw a football right now. Seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, Cody, real quick. Let's look at it from this perspective. If we're going to talk about Taysom Hill, he has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, the best running back in the NFL currently. He's got one of the best wide receiving cores. Kamara, if you look at his stats,
he's top 3. He's definitely top 3.
I'll give you that. Number 1 this year, bro. Number 1 this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like statistically speaking, he's number 1. He's got one of the best wide receiver cores. He's got a fantastic defense backing him up. I mean, if he wasn't
and
the fact
threw
that he's
9 times to Michael Thomas for 105 yards. That was all he did was throw Michael Thomas.
What is? Hold on. Cody, what is his average yards per game in the air?
Listen, whatever. If you want to jump into all the stats, do whatever.
Oh, all the stats, all the things that matter. He's sorry.
Every single week has thrown 2 touchdowns. He has continued to get better. I'm telling you, their quarterback of the future. And you can say,
I'm hoping so.
Hey, man.
Yeah, me too. I hope he is. He's 30 years old, boo.
Remember who's telling you this now. Remember,
we will hold you to it.
Remember who's telling you this shit. Okay,
Cody's got his magic Mormon underwear on right now.
Hey.
He's got his magic Mormon underwear on right now because he loves Zach Wilson and what's his name? Whoever, Taysom Hill. Let me tell you this is back to Joe Brady real quick. You know what the best thing for Joe Brady to get a head coaching job would be to get a rookie quarterback next year and to develop him into a badass over 2 seasons, because then somebody who doesn't have a quarterback is going and needs one is going to go get one in the draft. They're going to get him and they're going to get a quarterback and they're going to be like, we've got our answer together.
What if he does it in the first year? What if we have a quarterback?
If he gets a quarterback next year and he's like really, really good, then that, like I'm saying, is the worst thing for Joe Brady to be a head coach prospect would be to have Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback. Really, it's like it's not showing us what you can do. In many ways, it's showing us that it's really Sean Payton doing it.
I think, that's what I'm saying. I think that if he has another year with Teddy Bridgewater, he's going to learn the ropes. He's going to get everything underneath him. And like I said, 2 weeks ago, I guess a week and a half ago when we played that game, I think we saw what Joe Brady was like. He is a rookie offensive coordinator. There were some errors, there were some mistakes, there were some things that could have been fixed. So I do think that he is a candidate, but if he has Teddy Bridgewater, I think that's going to help his case because he's going to be able to do more with this offense next year. And people are going to say he did it with Teddy Bridgewater.
Games.
What is it?
And win 6 games.
No, I mean, if we can improve, man, like we got to look at, like, if we improve, here's the problem. If we improve, let's say we get an average of an extra 5 points per game. We win 6 more games than compared to what we did this year. That's a 10-win game. That's a 10-win season.
You know, if what's and buts for candy is nuts, then we'd all have a Merry Christmas, dude.
Exactly, but that's the point I'm trying to make. If we improve as a team and we're able to actually accomplish certain things, let's say we shore up our offensive line, we get a tight end, all of a sudden our offense has different weapons that are, again, yards after catch specific, then Joe Brady is going to look like a genius if we get any type of traction with what we have.
No, I can look at 7 games last year that if by chance this player catches the ball or we score a touchdown right here, guess what? We're at 12-14 with Kyle Allen as the quarterback. Okay. So ifs and whats always are a part of sports, but it's what happens that matters.
If Matt Ryan would have thrown that touchdown in the final seconds, which it hit Julio, or like they had 2 opportunities and they win that game, Cody, you still saying the same crap?
Yes. Hey,
stop. Next.
That's right. That's Blake B against.
I'm going to mute you if you keep talking about Taysom Hill like this in the magic underwear mess. It's a travesty. It's wrong.
I look at it like this, man.
No, it's Blake.
Tell me, what do you look?
Oh,
tell me, what do you want to tell me about Taysom Hill that's going to change my mind?
Oh, no. I agree with you. What I'm saying,
against the world, I accept it.
If we get the pieces, say we get like Surtain or like a top pick that's really much needed and this team improves. How you're talking about Taysom Hill now, that's how people are going to talk about Teddy Bridgewater next year.
But they're not even terrible talents, though. They're not even.
I'm not going to be that disrespectful to 5. I'm not.
Look, hey, hold on, bro. How about Taysom Hill runs a 4.4, and he runs.
Okay.
And he's 30 years old. That's not the case anymore. He's starting to get older.
Did y'all watch it against the Falcons when he was able to roll out the pocket and make throws on the run?
That sounds like a coordinator to me.
Bridgewater do that. No, dude, bullshit. Either you have the ability to roll out and make a throw, or you don't. You've never seen Teddy Bridgewater move the pocket.
Dude, Cody, I've never played a game of live football and especially professionally, and I guarantee you I can roll out of a pocket and run 7 yards and throw a ball downfield.
I can't.
You know?
Bridgewater doesn't. That's my point. From the position, you have
has better stats other than the win.
That's why I don't think they're comparable as skill sets, but what they are comparable is average.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. Next call. Come on, man. Let me get through these calls.
For the first time ever, I was sitting here again listening to the Coltrane mashup with Cody and Rashad. And my blood started boiling.
Oh, no.
Not because of what they said, but kind of an off topic of what they were talking about and follow up on my last call. We had all of our problems could have been taken care of with what we already had in our organization. We let Brandon Bean walk.
Yeah.
We let him walk. We had the answer to Herney. We had it already.
But we thought we had a gem at the time.
And they opened up Pandora's box and outspat the Buffalo Bills. I mean, look at what they are doing. I mean, what? That is definitely Pandora's box. I mean, look at all the throw up of Panthers that we have all scattered across Buffalo. But let me get one thing really clear. Listen up. Let me get it clear. Like I said in my last call, if we have somebody on our roster, on our coaching staff, that we know is going to be a savant, if Tepper is serious, break that freaking mold. We have him in our coaching staff. Pay Joe Brady like a head coach or close to a head coach. And I don't know, y'all probably could have trashed this conversation in between calls. I don't know. I figure with the bye week, you need a conversation, you need new topics, maybe something, like I said, a hot take.
Yeah.
But if we let somebody else slip out from under our fingertips that we already had in our building and go on to do great things, ooh, you're going to hear me mad. I'm going to call back mad.
Thanks for the call, man. I think this is that the Brandon Bean, the sad thing is that Dave Gettleman was doing a really good job at the time that Brandon Bean left. Maybe. No, it was 2017. It was actually when things were starting to come off the rails. But we didn't know it at the time. We had a Super Bowl under our belt. We had 3 division championships. He had been shopping in the bargain bin and putting teams together.
It was a surprise when we lost Gettleman the way that we did.
Yeah, we weren't expecting it.
It was a surprise that Gettleman turned out to be as bad as he is. That's what I say.
And then even then it's weird, man, because some of those picks for the Giants that he's made are looking pretty damn good now.
He really screwed up in Carolina, but he screwed up in Carolina when he stopped listening to his own fucking advice. His own advice, he always said this, as he said, we use free agency to set up the draft. We use free agency to make sure that when we go into the draft, we don't have to be backed into a fucking corner and pick 3 corners consecutively. Well, guess what? When he revoked the Josh Norman contract, rescinded that deal, he backed himself into a corner. When he refused to draft any offensive talent for like 3 years, it felt like, all of a sudden we saw this team that had a lot of pieces on it, but Cam had nobody. So what does he do? He gets like Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, all these guys in one draft. Moton. It was just like, he's like this. It's like, oh, I want big receivers, so let's draft these 2 big guys. They turned out slow, so now I want fast receivers. He just didn't listen to his own advice. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Next call.
I agree. And he was, here's the thing. With Gettleman real quick, is I think that if there was an organization that could do this effectively, it would be incredible. If you could have a draft with, and Cody's going to grill me on this, but a draft with Marty Herney handling the draft and David Gettleman handling the contracts, I think maybe there would be a scenario where we would be in the best of both worlds, right? Because that's always been Marty Herney's weakness, is the way he negotiates contracts. And Gettleman was in my opinion, our worst drafting GM in the history of the Panthers. I don't know. Just me.
He was a miser, man. He's a miser with money.
Yeah.
His reaction, I just felt like this is, I don't know. I think that Dave Gettleman, too, I think one thing that started to at least show a little bit is that he believes he's smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
And so it's like this is like, I want to prove, I always make it, I liken it to how I used to play Call of Duty when I was really good at it. Like when we
how you can tell that that's an accurate statement? Is everybody he drafted from the Carolina Panthers, he's re-signing in the Giants.
Yeah.
And it's working out pretty well for him. That's all I'm saying.
You got to remember, I used to play with sniper rifle and knife only, man. I would be like, I'm only going to play this multiplayer with a sniper rifle and a knife. That's it. And I would walk out like 15 and 4 kills. I'd be like, yeah. But I start to buy into your own shit. You buy into your own shit.
This is Chuck calling from Elizabeth City. Having a bye week, having a little bit of withdrawals. A couple things I wanted to touch on. Number one, Cody, this is for you. I did watch Zach Wilson play this weekend for BYU. I was pretty impressed. I thought he played some pretty good quarterback. And I still think we need maybe a guy like Zach Parsons who's there at linebacker. But he definitely is worth the opportunity to kick the tires during any combine or any type of scouting event we might do. Got a pretty good arm, pretty accurate. What I really want to focus on and talk about right now is coming off a bye. We know how Ron was during bye weeks. Other than the year we went to the Super Bowl, a couple other years, pretty much laid an egg. Really stands out in my mind is how he prepared us for the 49er game next to last year when we got blown out in San Fran. And I'm really hoping Matt Rule and his coaching staff that we got some really close games, played really good. Another pretty much in 12 games, I think we played maybe one half of bad football, and that was the second Tampa Bay game. I really just want to see what this coaching staff can bring and these players how they develop during the bye. I think that's going to say a lot. We were 1-5 all time against Denver, and I know it's going to mess up our draft position if we win, but I want to beat Denver. We owe it to our fan base to beat Denver, pay them back a little bit. And, one thing I think the Saints kind of got a bye when they played Denver with the quarterbacks being out with COVID. But another thing, it was kind of nice to see Denver have to suffer a little bit for what they were given in the Super Bowl against us, in my opinion. I really want to see how we do in the bye. And as a side note, I want you guys to look at this. Matt Rule's voice, I want you to listen to him talk and put it up against a famous comedian who is now deceased, Sam Kinison. Listen to Sam Kinison's voice when he talks. Sounds just like Matt Rule. It's almost like they've got the same voice. Not when he screams, but when he's just talking in general.
I'm going to have to listen to it now.
Matt Rule screams?
All right, take care, guys.
We're going to side by side it next week. Just your thoughts on Zach Wilson after you saw him play Coastal. Man, Coastal Carolina ain't no joke for being D2 or whatever they are.
No, they're not. But I do want to provide a little bit of context. Like, they had to travel across country on 2 days' notice. So literally, they did not know before this week that Coastal Carolina was going to play BYU. Like, this was a recent thing. Liberty had backed out from being able to play one of them, either Coastal Carolina or BYU. And kudos to them. Like, they wanted to play another ranked football team. So they did. And listen, BYU, yeah, they lost. But listen, all you have to do is look at Zach Wilson's film and see why people are so high on him. Like, don't just believe me. Go look at any other mock draft website on the internet. Most sites have him as a top 10 pick for a reason. He demonstrates all the traits that you want in a player that you're drafting that high. Now,
Kind of came out of nowhere, though.
Yeah, he did, 100%.
Like, I mean, he wasn't even slated to be the starter. You know what I mean? Like, he was like fighting for a position not too long ago.
Right. That's how the best ones are, though.
Guys you want. That's right. Exactly, guys you want.
Come out of nowhere. Now, it's hard to judge them because it is 1 year of a deal, you know, but you have to judge all the circumstances. But according to all his interviews, man, he's a great young man who wants to learn football. He's tirelessly trying to get better. Dave Gettleman talked about that Luke Kuechly DNA that Christian McCaffrey has also, that work ethic that goes into overdrive. I think Zach Wilson has a little of that in him too, and it matters for double because it's at the most important position in football, and that's quarterback.
I gotta say this is Shelly. I hope she's making a joke. Funchess better than DJ.
Oh yeah, she's got to make a joke.
Absolutely.
No way. Based on what?
Enough
Based
of all
on
this going back and forth
nothing?
and all of this other stuff. Y'all need to go ahead and pick the house salad because it's gonna be the best for everybody. You never know if somebody like all the Parmesan cheese.
I didn't even have the video.
Croutons,
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
up.
like that. So you gotta get house salad. The house is for everybody.
Thanks, Salad Boy. Oh, that was Jason. You don't know about this, but have
What's
you
up?
ever heard of Cameo, the website Cameo?
I have. I don't know what it is, but I've heard of it.
You can pay. You pay like $50, $20, $80. Sometimes it can be expensive, and these celebrities will send you a personalized video. And I have always talked shit about Devin Funchess about being soft and not playing to the size and stature that he should. And when he was a rookie, he came into training camp, and on the radio, he was asked on the radio what his favorite food was. Now, he was only 19 years old, 21, something like that.
College food.
And his answer was, I don't really eat a lot. I don't like to eat that much. I guess I would say salad. And I said, you can't trust a bug in the NFL who's going to be the dog. And he says his favorite food, salad. So I paid him to make me a video, and I posed as my friend was having a wedding, and they couldn't choose between the Caesar and the house salad. And that's where that video of Devin Funchess, you just heard him. He said, you got to go with the house salad, not the Caesar.
That's great.
It was awesome.
Okay.
But didn't dare you pretty much.
Oh, yeah. It was great. No, who cares? All right, next call. We got two more
All
after
right.
this one.
That's it. I don't get the left side of my right nut, but this is my third call. And this is Blake B. What's up, what's up? For all you slow people out there, that's the inside of your right nut. Okay. Now that that's over, we have a catch-22 in this Panthers culture. And yes, pun intended, the enigma that is Christian McCaffrey. So, we have 4 games left. Bill Voth tweets, the only people who considered sitting Christian McCaffrey this final month were on the internet. And I started thinking about it and scrolling through the Twitter feed of this tweet and the replies. And I was about to blow up on this guy named PJ. He says, people don't understand that building a culture of winning is much more important than losing and improving draft position. And I started thinking, well, it's not an awful point. And then Tyler, next comment, he says, we invested a ton of money and bringing him back for 4 meaningless games does nothing but shorten an already short career span. And I went, oh my goodness, that's where the catch-22 comes in. 22 is a catch-22 himself. And listening to an interview with McCaffrey, he says he never even considered sitting out if he was good to go just because of trying to stay mentally sharp for the game. I mean, how many weeks off or months off are we going to have once the season is over? But, man, talk about it, boys. I mean, I wish I could accredit drinking to this wonderful conversation we're having here. But hey, I'm sober. Maybe we need to change that.
Go ahead, Jason.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for the call, buddy.
Smash that thumbs up button. Hit that like. Hit that dislike. Whatever.
My man.
Teddy still sucks.
I like my man. Blake B, my man.
Yeah, it's like we were just talking about. I forgot who said it, but how Christian McCaffrey has that Luke Kuechly DNA, and how he's this hardworking grinder, right? If he has the ability to play, you really think that man's going to sit out?
Right.
Of all the people on that team, like, come on now. Even like as a former player, like if we sucked and like I was on an NFL team or whatever, and like I could play, I'm stepping on that field because I'm a dog, and that's what I signed up to do, and I love the game that much. I feel like Christian McCaffrey is that dude who's gonna step on the field, even if he is injured. Even if he's not 100%, I feel like if he's even at like 80, 90, then suit me up, let's go. He's not the type of guy to be like, oh, let me sit out, unless it's like his situation at Stanford where like his NFL career is potentially on the line, but he's already at the big stage now.
Is it the coach's duty though, and the GM's duty to tell people to make that decision for people who can't? And we wondered the same thing about Cam Newton at some points. We want, is at some point it's somebody else's job to say, no, you're worth too much to be risked here. But even if we aren't going to go that far and say, should we sit him for the remainder of the season? One thing we have not yet seen happen, and this is on both regimes, the former regime with Scott Turner and an offensive coordinator, and now Joe Brady, is that when you have Christian McCaffrey on that field, they cannot resist using him all the time. We said when Christian McCaffrey came back from that ankle injury and Mike Davis had been so productive, finally we're going to see the confidence in a team that's going to give Christian McCaffrey kind of some protection from too much playing time. And guess what happened? They brought him back and they just ran him like 40 times. It was just Christian McCaffrey. Well, it might not have been only Christian McCaffrey, but there was no Mike Davis in sight. No Mike Davis in that game. So if we bring him back, we need the coaches to also systematically protect him within the scheme a little.
Like we wanted Ron Rivera to do with Cam Newton. You have to save players from themselves, because what David said is true. Like, these players are paid to play football. Think about it this way, man. The amount of snaps that McCaffrey has played this year, once this season is over, that's literally all my man has worked for the year. Like, that's what he does for a living. If it's Cam Newton or Christian McCaffrey, they want to go out there and kick ass and play football. So you can't blame them for wanting to get on the field. They're not thinking about the win-loss record or the draft pick. They don't give a shit about that, man. They're dogs. They want to go out there and win. Coaches have to sometimes save players from themselves and think about the good of their team in the future.
The part that I want to point out is we know clearly, and even in the Kansas City, game, we've been, mooning over Mike Davis and what he's been able to do in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. When Christian McCaffrey got on that field, we were expecting, and I think the coaching staff was expecting, to be able to split, touches with Mike Davis. Christian McCaffrey's just different. Like, he is just different. You saw him on the field. Ron Rivera said it last year. He's like, we wanted to lower his touches, but I mean, how can you when you see this guy doing what he's able to do? It's hard to do as a coaching staff when your goal is to win that game.
Dude.
It's just not. If your goal is to win that game, and that's what's like, you have that in your back pocket, not willfully not using it is going to, be a detriment to the possibility of winning that game.
All right,
and
last two calls. Let's go.
Yo, man, my hat's over here gibbering. But, it's California out here, we could legally smoke out here.
I feel sad that y'all can't. I really feel bad for you. But I just want to also thank you for your moment of to let me preach on how fucking the homie GOAT, the GOAT of all GOATs in the first round pick GOATs should be staying here. And then let Stewart and all these other motherfuckers that are in the motherfucking building getting paid millions do what they need to be doing is you know what I'm saying, micromanage the rest of these fucking picks. But these first round picks take real fucking balls and, you know what I mean, real fucking strategic motherfucking moves. Why do you think we were watching for Herbert last year? Because that could have been a legitimate move last year, you know. So I'm cool with the GOAT staying and let these other men do their job on the rest of these picks. And then also, I think Stewart be on point with the payment shit too. Yeah, these contracts look right. If you really look at the background part of it, I think these contracts look right. All right, peace out, y'all.
All right,
This is
last
from Cali.
Thanks, man.
Yo, it's QT on here one more time. Teddy gotta go. If he's gonna be here next year, he's gonna be here as a teacher for PJ, whoever else we draft for both of them. And we gotta fix that contract because he won't be playing that many snaps. God damn it! So we gotta figure that shit out. All right, y'all.
That's the C3 Panthers podcast. We've got to ice some fools up and get the hell out of here. The last segment of the show is where we ice up. So it's our homage to Steve Smith. We tell someone in the world to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Guys, does anybody have an ice up pick prepared as other people prepare theirs? Oh, Greg's got one. Go for it.
Yes. This is mine I had two last week and I couldn't remember the second one, but I remember it now. So it's a little late, but I'm going to ice it up. Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson, ice up, man. I don't know if y'all saw that knockout, but if you haven't, watch it. I'm still looking for the gif of him with the Sonic rings and the knockout because I heard it's really funny, but I can't find it anywhere. So if you got it, send it to me at the Bat that if you do. But Nate Robinson, just know you got knocked out by Jake Paul, and it looked silly. Very, very silly. For everybody out there wondering, boxing is not a game.
No.
It is not a game.
No.
You cannot be a good athlete in some of the sport. Doesn't mean you're going to be a good boxer. So don't think because you were a good basketball player, you're a good boxer. And I'm not saying that Jake Paul is a good boxer, but just because you're good at one thing doesn't make you a good fighter. Period. Point blank. He got knocked out. Like, it looked so funny. I love seeing a good knockout. He was out for a while. So Nate Robinson, ice up, man.
All right. Who's next?
I'll go first unless someone wants to jump in front of me.
Go ahead.
So there's this rapper that goes by the name of Casanova, and being indicted on RICO charges, which, if I'm not mistaken, is how they got the mafia in New York years ago.
Organized crime. It's an organized crime.
So this guy by the name of Casanova. There's this famous interviewer on YouTube. He does all these interviews with
DJ Vlad.
Yeah, DJ Vlad, right?
Man. Yeah.
So they're all of the conspiracy theory people on Twitter are saying, DJ Vlad's interviews and him just confessing and talking about all this shit could end up getting him up to life behind bars. And by the way, so in the video, on DJ Vlad's video, the title is literally Casanova 2 times on stabbing 12 inmates. Like, the dude literally talks about the people that he's fucked up in his life in an interview, and now they're going to use it to throw him in jail. Man, that's got to be a bad feeling, knowing that you might be in jail for the rest of your life, not only because you did some dumb shit, but because you admitted it on the internet. What kind of moron do you have to be
all for clout, right?
Yeah, man.
All for clout.
To my man, Casanova 2X, Ice up, son. You might be icing up for the rest of your life.
All right. Anybody else got ice up?
I mean, I'm gonna double up on my one from last week. When last week mine was the clear favoritism that you see in the NFL. Because the Saints and the Broncos game, they were forced to play that with no quarterback on the Broncos, but the Ravens, they decided to push their game back. Well, that doubled down tonight. Did you guys hear about what happened with Des Bryant?
Sort of. Yeah. Yes, I think it deserves to be mentioned.
Basically, Des Bryant was in warm-ups, going up, handshaking, just dabbing people up, all this stuff on the field. They came out and told him that he had to leave because he tested positive for COVID. But you know who he plays for is the Ravens, right? Mm-hmm. But do you think they canceled that game after he was just literally up there dabbing everybody?
TV show. I told you that.
Exactly, bro. I'm telling you, these guys. Oh gosh, it just frustrates the heck out of me. And I'm not going to be one to sit here and defend the Saints, but like the Saints got fined $500,000 and a 7th round draft pick for not wearing their mask appropriately. Mm-hmm. And Des Bryant's out there with no mask on, dabbing people up, and they let that game just continue. Didn't even say anything, like just kept it going. Anyway, ice up NFL, ice up,
ice up.
All right, I guess I'll
go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Well, yesterday, I don't know if y'all saw. I'm pretty sure y'all did. Y'all are pretty good with pop culture and everything. Christopher Nolan came out and pretty much trash talked HBO Max, calling it the worst streaming service.
I just
because, yeah, I bet it was a good one, man. And he was basically like, "Oh, they're losing so much money, blah blah blah." When in reality, you're just mad because your movie flopped and no one saw John David Washington. And oh boy, I forgot his name. He's a great actor. I hate that I forgot his name. But Tenet flopped and you're mad because your movie didn't make money in a pandemic. And so you're going to talk trash about someone who's actually making money. Sorry, bro. Ice up, son.
That's like the Academy with Netflix and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, they're haters, man.
But by the way, and I know Greg, that's nice. I know Greg probably knows about this. I'm reading that a lot of those theater companies are already talking about suing because like they're trying to say that they had deals in place and that HBO Max essentially, like they essentially said that for those who missed it, HBO Max is about to put a bunch of movies for free on HBO Max that would normally come out in theaters.
Right.
Well, now a bunch of companies that produce those movies are like, wait, we never said that we signed up for this shit. Like, what? So apparently there's more going on.
It's very difficult because, it's not the movie producing studios that are going to do that. It's the movie theaters. Mm-hmm. Because Warner Brothers is the only studio that said they're going to do it. Everybody else is probably going to follow suit very soon, but Warner Brothers is the only studio that did that. They have 21 movies coming out next year. And I can almost guarantee you, every movie studio is going to do this in the future. Because would you rather make $135 million streaming a movie? You may make $500 million in the theaters. Because people can't see in theater. Which would you rather do? You want to make the money. So sorry, this is getting into my kind of podcasting right here. So.
I think you guys should go listen to the Business Wars podcast between Netflix versus Blockbuster, and Blockbuster had an opportunity to buy Netflix as well as HBO could have done it. HBO HBO also didn't want to give any of their content to Netflix. So Netflix in their early phases just struggled getting good content. It was like we're just getting all this B grade shit, and HBO had it on lock. Trust in HBO though; those videos they have been.
They got some heat coming.
I stock in HBO if you got a chance.
Dude, I stock in Netflix because Netflix is still the best, bro. Netflix is the best.
Not for
Hands
long.
Down.
Not for long. They got some heat coming, man.
I'm telling you, HBO Max and Disney Plus are going to put Netflix out. Well, not a bit.
Plus, man. Sorry. I don't
hey, once these Marvel shows come out,
Yeah, exactly.
R.I.P.
I'm
Disney
so
Plus and
tired.
HBO Max are
I'm
gonna do
so
what
tired of
everybody's talking about.
superhero shit. I'm done with it.
You
I
think
am
that? Wait till you see
only.
Matt Reeves Batman.
You're the only one done with it.
I'm
Yeah.
tired of
Wait
it,
till you
man.
see
I
Matt
only
Reeves
like
Batman,
bad
dude.
superhero.
You're gonna be like, oh my god, it's so good.
I'm interested in this new Jason Momoa. I think it's Jason Momoa. He's going to be it comes out December 11th, and it's kind of like a badass superhero movie. I think it's Jason Momoa. Somebody like that. They say it's going to make The Boys in the Watchmen. It's going to be in that level of.
Okay.
I'll send you.
Okay.
All right, my ice up pick this week goes to the Vancouver Canucks. And they fired their anthem singer, who has been their anthem. He sings "Oh Canada" for them. He's like a paparazzi, not paparazzi. Who's the that Italian opera singer, whatever his name with a P was. He looks like that.
Pavarotti? What?
Yeah, something like that. Whatever that opera singer was. He kind of looks like him. Anyway, his name's Mark Donnelly. They fired him because he attended a anti-mask rally and said he was tired of draconian laws about wearing masks, and he was concerned about, and he put it in a cool way. He said that they told this would be a 14-day sprint, and it turned into like a 8-month marathon of death or something like that. Anyway, they fired him for making political statements outside of work. And I don't think you should fire people for something that is not as controversial as a lot of different things. Like, that's less controversial to me than a lot of things that people could say. And I don't think you should fire people for opinions that just don't jive with yours. So I think that kind of sucks. I think that we're in a fire and a cancel culture, and it's too easy to cut people out, and it makes you look good for a second. I don't like it. So you know what is Vancouver Canucks? Ice up. That's it. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. The number's 252-228-5098. We're here on Tuesdays. We're here after the game on the post-game show. And you can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Cody, where can they follow you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at CodyLac, CodyLac. I'm always bitching about something on Twitter, but I answer all my mentions. And there is going to be a brand new mock draft on drafttech.com next Wednesday with all first round comments for the Carolina Panthers, written by yours truly.
CK, Master of Streams, how can they get after you?
You can find me streaming on Facebook or fb.gg /CodizzleAllen. I also am on most social media sites. Just posted a new TikTok video that's pretty funny. So if you guys want to check that out, go take a look.
All right, Greg Manamini Podcast.
You can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. Hit me up. It's my only form of social media. I will I'll respond to anything you say to me, DMs, whatever. Check out Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. You can find every one of my shows there, and C3 Panthers Podcast. All the places.
Jason, we brought you in to add credibility because you're the only person I know that's got an editor. Jason, how can they follow you?
Hey, y'all can follow me on Twitter at JasonHewitt50. You can follow the SI page at SI_Panthers, and you can find the website at www.si.com/NFL/Panthers. I'm on Twitter pretty often. Feel free to get in my mentions. I like arguments. I think they're fun personally. So, that's pretty much it from me.
All right, I got streaming service fatigue, guys. I cannot pay for any more services. So HBO Max, I'm streaming you illegally. Disney Plus, you're for kids.